welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown. Joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Good afternoon, sir. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, that's probably the best, better way to put that. Yes.
Well, yes. And good evening as well to Mr. Henrique Jaime, joining us to kick off the 2025 MCU slate. Our first entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe has arrived, and Captain America, Brave New World. So welcome back to the pod. How are you, sir?
Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm doing all right. And this is the start. We're back. Or are we?
Yes.
We'll see. I don't know.
Well,
we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. That's it.
It's, this is the first of 3 movies in the MCU this year. Obviously, very different story from 2024, where all you got was the Deadpool and Wolverine to carry the torch. So I don't know. I guess Andrew and I probably would have had predictions about MCU movies on our last episode, our 2025 A Look Ahead episode. But I will honestly confess, we recorded that quite a while ago, so I don't actually know what we said, even about this movie that we're talking about now. But it'll be a really interesting juxtaposition for our listeners who go straight from hearing whatever we said about Brave New World on that episode to what we're about to say about Brave New World. And even more interesting because we're a bit late. This came out, I think, on Valentine's Day, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, we are pretty late.
So we're a little bit late, not only recording, but obviously getting the episode and coverage up too. So we'll see how much of this movie that Henrique and I remember. I've only seen it just the one time, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, Captain America, Brave New World, the start of the MCU slate. I guess we're still in phase 5.
I guess
they're still doing that shit.
I've kind of lost track a little bit of that.
I don't know,
but those are all things that we'll get into. We'll get into them. We have lots of MCU kind of news. This is our first opportunity to catch up on the news since we talked about all those 2025 things that we were looking forward to. So we're gonna have some Super Bowl stuff, new trailers, and yeah, just lots of stuff to catch up on. That we will not be catching up on all of the news by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll be getting into things that feel like kind of relevant to everyone's interests that is now participating on this episode. So before we get to the headlines, all that good stuff, does anyone have a fun fact they want to share about Captain America, Brave New World?
I can share something that, we're in March, but it's still relevant. This movie came out in February, like you mentioned. It was Black History Month,
right?
And I think that's worth talking about. Maybe considered
controversial
these days.
I thought that got
government.
canceled.
If that's true, then that may not be true. But
so maybe not.
It's a brave new Nazi world that we live in. Didn't you get the memo?
Historically, it's Black History Month, right?
Historically, and we're in March, but
I don't mean to derail. But
we're late to the game.
This is the world we live in. But either way, yes, I'm sorry. To derail.
I think we covered Black Panther on this podcast, so that was some time ago, and he's famous for being the first Black superhero, really like in big comics and such. But Falcon was the first African American superhero in mainstream comics, which I think
that's right.
is a big deal. And now he has his own movie, not as the Falcon, but as our now titular Captain America. So I think he deserves some props.
Yeah.
So I think very timely when this movie came out. And I was initially going to joke around and say something about the cherry blossoms. I was like, they brought in 100,000 cherry blossoms to film this movie. But I think if you watch the trailers, you can tell that that's probably not right. I think it's a little bit of CGI there.
There's a little bit.
That's my fake fact.
Maybe all the cherry blossoms are real. Everything else, though, completely generated in a computer. That's the one element they made sure was completely practical. The big red guy running around, though.
He wanted to give Falcon his props, Falcon or Sam Wilson, I guess, for this case.
No, I think that's valid, and we'll get into this more obviously when we talk about the movie itself. But it is cool to have a Captain America with a black man leading the movie as Captain America. It's obviously quite a change of pace from the Captain America that we saw in Steve Rogers as played by Chris Evans. But Anthony Mackie, man, he's I think he's always been game for something like this, and it is cool, even if it is coming a little bit later in the game in the MCU. In the sense that this is now 30 plus movies in, it's still cool to see. The question is, would they have greenlit this movie now versus when they greenlit this movie? I don't know, but either way, we got the movie. We're going to talk about it.
Yes, sir.
I'm keen to get into it because I definitely have thoughts about it. I have some fun facts myself, but I think they're all kind of spoilery, behind the scenesy type things. So I'm gonna save that for spoilers, and then we can kind of get into that a bit later. Andrew, do you have a fun fact or anything else that you might want to share with the listeners at this point?
Yeah, well, I don't have a fun fact, but I may or may not. Well, I may have a pun. Or otherwise known as totally embarrassing dad jokes.
All right. We've got Henrique on now, so hopefully he can get it.
Henrique.
Because I'm bad at this.
Which hand is better to write with?
Right.
I would think the right hand.
Neither. It's better to write with a pen.
That's the epitome of a dad joke right there.
There we go, guys.
Yeah, we were thinking similarly. We were thinking, right. It's.
I think maybe that was the
that was the obvious choice.
It was the obvious choice. I went for the
clearly
low-hanging
not
fruit. I just thought sometimes you overthink these things. I feel like a lot of times when I hear them, like the joke is just kind of baked into it. You don't really have to search that hard. So if you overthink and then you kind of just like, oh no, that makes a lot of sense. I guess I just should have gone with that. The one time that I go with the obvious choice, that we go with the obvious choice, and we're punished for it.
That's right.
That's not it.
Very rude.
Correct.
So you guys ready to talk some headlines?
Yes, I would very much like to talk headlines.
Would you now? That's interesting. Well, why don't we start with some Star Wars? We're actually going to bookend our coverage with some Star Wars stuff.
Ooh.
So some pretty big news on the Ahsoka front. Obviously, May 2023 brought us some really, really sad news in the passing of Ray Stevenson, which I think was prior to the series premiering. I think we kind of watched the show with kind of the cloud of Ray Stevenson's performance in it. He played a character named Baylan Skoll in the first season of Ahsoka. The show's been renewed for a second season, and without getting too spoilery with Ahsoka, which Henrique, did you end up watching it?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's a role that would have made sense to continue in a second season, and now we have confirmation that the role will be continuing in a second season, and they are not going to be resurrecting Ray Stevenson's likeness from the grave, which I think is the correct call. They are properly recasting, and they are recasting this role with actor Rory McCann, who I think is probably most recognizable as the Hound from Game of Thrones. For probably a lot of people at this point. So we are going to be getting the character continuing in the second season of Ahsoka, which is happening. I don't think it's quite at the filming stage yet, but I think the scripts are still being written. Dave Filoni obviously being
he plays a pretty good stoic dude. Pretty I can
see it.
I feel like the popular fan cast was Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He kind of physically matched pretty well. But I think, Rory McCann, he's a big dude. I don't know how tall Ray Stevenson was, but he looked fucking came across
massive.
as a big dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that in terms of just physical presence, I think it's there. I mean, it's not 1-to-1, but
sure.
That's that's kind of the nature of recasting, is it's not always going to be about doing a 100% similar performance. It's just can you capture the same sort of spirit of what that role is going to be? And like Ray Stevenson is a powerhouse, and he was really
he fucking owned the role.
He was really captivating in that particular role as well in Ahsoka, like a very memorable performance in that show. So it's obviously something that's hard to live up to, but I think he might have the chops for it. I mean, I think it's a really interesting pick, and I think it's, I don't know, sometimes it's tough you want to throw all your scripts in the bin and totally change everything because like if I can't do it without him here, I've got to completely work around that. Like obviously like Star Wars Episode 9 when Carrie Fisher died, I think had to radically reshape how that was. Am I saying they should have recast Princess Leia? No, I don't think so. I think it was the right call.
That's a tough one.
And I think so things are a little bit different here, but it's kind of just like, if the character is as important as you want this character to be, then sometimes recasting might be the right choice.
And you just take your time and find the right person for the role. This actually feels like
this feels good. I mean, it sucks. Obviously, we would want Ray Stevenson to be around, not purely for the reason of him being in Ahsoka season 2, but also so that he could continue to live his life and, be with his family and do all the other things that I'm sure he enjoyed to do in life. But yeah, also for the fact of, he was great in this role, and it would be great to see him do more of it and great to see where the character was meant to go. So we will at least be able to see that, obviously, just brought to life by someone else.
Yeah, it seems inspired. This pick seems inspired, I think, so. Yeah.
All right. Certainly. So it sounds like...
Imagine the Hound coming at you with a lightsaber.
That would
that's pretty scary.
Equally
pretty
as shitty as
that's pretty scary.
Ray Stevenson.
I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this fucking planet or wherever they're stuck, because aren't they on like the other side of the galaxy now or whatever?
Yeah. They're like, your character can't say fuck all the time.
Maybe one fuck.
One, you get one.
What the fuck? Pretty good.
All right, so that's headline number 1. Ahsoka season 2, I don't think because it's pretty early in the process, is still probably at least a couple years away. We've got The Mandalorian and Grogu coming out next year. I think that's kind of the next iteration of the Mandoverse, at least that timeline and stuff. So I'd say maybe 2027 is maybe a rough estimate for Ahsoka, if I were to guess. But more news on the Star Wars front, more headlines on the Star Wars front. There's always movies being made and then not being made and then maybe being made again, but then also still being made, but then scrapped back in the bin. I don't know. One of the things that is maybe happening, and this lends more credence to that, is a movie from Deadpool and Wolverine director Shawn Levy, a Star Wars movie from Deadpool and Wolverine director Shawn Levy, which we would have talked about probably a little while ago of just being like, yeah, we're going to make a movie with this guy. And we kind of always take these with a grain of salt. It's like, all right, I'm still waiting on Rogue Squadron. I'm waiting on Rian Johnson's trilogy. I'm waiting on Taika Waititi's movie. I'm waiting on Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie. I'm waiting on James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie. I'm waiting on the Rey sequel movie.
At this point, we'll just take any Star Wars movie.
Like, we know Mandalorian and Grogu is happening because there's been footage that has been put on the internet. And it's like, well, it's just the Mandalorian season 4, but in movie form. So it's like not a crazy leap of logic to get there. But maybe this one is further along than most because Ryan Gosling is in talks to star as the lead character in this movie, which we don't have a lot of details about. I have some details that will come in the next bit, but it is apparently going to be a standalone movie, not part of some bigger trilogy, blah, blah, blah. But, if it's getting to the point of we've got a director, now we've got maybe a star, maybe it's a little closer than some other things that I mentioned. So how do you guys feel about a Ryan Gosling led Star Wars movie directed by Shawn Levy? Is that a combination, a pairing that excites, intrigues, interests?
I feel like it's got to be like a smuggler movie or like a scoundrel movie. You know what I mean?
I guess that's a good thing. Like, what do we envision Ryan Gosling? Is he a Jedi? Yeah. Is he a non-Force user, or is he a Force user but not a Jedi?
I think he's like a Han Solo
Ryan
type,
Gosling Star Wars.
A little bit, yeah. Get the charisma, but it could be slightly comedic too. Like, have we seen Ryan Gosling show off his comedic chops? I think he's pretty good at it.
I think he'd definitely be
Barbie Fall Guy.
Yeah. So this could be a pretty fun combo.
Although I guess Blade Runner 2049 wasn't comedic.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ryan Gosling has range. I think that's fair to say. I think Shawn Levy as a director has, at least in recent memory, shown that he leans more towards the comedic side of things, right?
Yeah.
Deadpool, Free Guy. I never saw the Adam Project.
Oh, yeah.
That was Ryan Reynolds, but then also there's a maybe young Ryan Reynolds or something. I don't know. I never saw it. It was on Netflix.
Ryan Gosling he's always seemed like a funny dude. He's always like, I know that he doesn't always take funny roles, but he's always slick. He's always a slick dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it would be a shame for his character to not take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it could be a musical. It could be like La La Land.
Oh, that would be fun.
Could be like La La Land.
A Star Wars
Barbie.
musical? That would be
Star
fun.
Wars musical? I mean, it's probably better than a Joker musical.
I mean, that's true. If we can get a Joker musical, we can get a fucking Star Wars musical. I guess the holiday special sort of bleeds into that territory at times, I guess.
Yeah, but, a little bit. It's like a variety show.
But a true on proper Star Wars musical.
There we go.
That could be interesting. Yeah, the one Star Wars movie they finally make that's not Mandalorian is a fucking musical. How about
Could
that?
you imagine that?
What a world that would be.
We need it.
Let's
see. Maybe.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I like this pairing. But I got to know more. What's it going to be? Who's he going to play?
Yeah.
What's the time period? Lots of questions that we still need answers to. But, at the end of the day, I'm kind of just at the point of, maybe Star Wars, we saw too much of it, or at least too much shitty Star Wars, around the same time and hasn't maintained the same caliber of quality that you'd like to see out of Star Wars. But it does kind of just, now it's getting to the point where it's just like, where is it? It's really just, we're getting Disney Plus shows here and there, but the movie side has really kind of dried up, and not in a, we're building anticipation for the next time.
No, it's like
but
there's nothing coming out.
We don't know. We don't know what foot to put forward. So it's like, there's no momentum. There's no building momentum or anything like that. So I don't know.
I just want good. I just want good Star Wars. Give me something good.
Yeah, that's fair.
And give me something kind of different too. You know what I mean? I want something kind of new and something fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
new, fresh, different. Yeah. I think those are all things to strive towards. And look, there are avenues within Star Wars where you are doing more of the same, and you can do it really, really well. But at the same time, I think that give us some other stuff too. I think spread your wings a little bit. I think. You can have both. You can have the best of both worlds, where you are doing something a little bit different, or you are doing something a little bit more comfortable, more familiar. At the end of the day, what you really want to do is just do something that's quality. That's well written, with a good story to tell. Obviously you just want to make a good thing. And that's easier said than done, as we've learned. Don't rush things. I guess maybe there is some wisdom to be found in that, but either way. All these things we're talking about kind of build into the next headline, which is kind of it's a headline that has evolved throughout the past, few weeks, I guess we'll say, because there were a lot of reports that came out, even from some major trades, that Kathleen Kennedy, the longtime president of Lucasfilm, was planning to step down from her role at Lucasfilm by the end of this year. And obviously that set off a lot of speculation about what's the succession look like, for taking over
Dave
Lucasfilm.
Filoni.
What is that, right? Does Dave Filoni, who already occupies a huge, executive role in Lucasfilm, would he step up to that role? Eddie V, I don't know who that is, but maybe his brother Johnny V.
Johnny V.
Eddie step up to the plate.
Eddie V now.
Eddie V's the restaurant. I think it's a restaurant. Yeah.
I think it is.
Eddie V, the less successful brother. He couldn't make Mandalorian movies or TV shows, but he could open a restaurant, all right? And that's all. That was his passion in
this is
life,
a big change.
Really. So who's really the winner here, Johnny? So yeah, it was the internet was ablaze with conversation because what's the future of Star Wars if it is being shepherded by someone else that's not Kathleen Kennedy? And obviously I am kind of at the point where Kathleen Kennedy has done a lot of amazing work in her career. I think she's like a very impressive woman, but at the end of the day, some of the recent Star Wars stuff has felt very discombobulated. Like Lucasfilm's approach to making Star Wars movies has felt very discombobulated, and it's probably always been like that, in the back burner. But when you're announcing a bunch of stuff in the press and then none of that shit happens, it does make you kind of question things a little bit. So I was kind of at the point where this could be interesting. Maybe we get someone, new
get somebody new
that makes, not necessarily more Star Wars just for the sake of making more Star Wars, but, has a real passion for it, like a Filoni or a Johnny V maybe could, if they were to even want a role like this. I mean, it's, kind of outside of their purview of what their, traditional roles have been, but it could be interesting. On the other hand, you could just get, someone who just wants to pump shit out
fucking
left
suit,
and right.
Just put a suit in there.
You just put a David Zaslav in charge, and then then that's bad. You know what I mean? So it could be not necessarily a good thing in the long run. But hold your horses, everyone, because Kathleen Kennedy came out, spoke to Deadline, and said she is not retiring, at least not anytime soon.
And the person that started that rumor is fucked. They're fired. They're no longer.
Well, I think who actually started it is someone who has been one of the classic ranting about Kathleen Kennedy for years and years. Like, not just like I'm a little frustrated with the process of how this is all played out, like in the way that I'm feeling, and the more like I'm going to make ridiculous videos on the internet about how much she sucks and everything's so woke and shit like that. I'm not saying literally that person is the one that started this. But I think the conversation became as big as it did because there is a very, very, I don't know how big, but at least very loud swath of Star Wars fans that are very, very vocally displeased with Kathleen Kennedy, and it's not necessarily rooted in I love Star Wars. It's why are women in Star Wars, that sort of thing. Why is that is what I just want manly men and burly. I don't want there's a certain level of toxic fandom there for sure.
What are we talking about?
So I don't know. I think if you want to be critical of Kathleen Kennedy, I think it's a very fair thing.
And that's what has she done coming at it from. You know what I mean? And it's like I think you could fairly levy criticism without getting into the taking it too far realm. You know what I mean? On. Like, why is this woman in charge and making this all about women?
Especially about Star Wars. Star Wars is it's got one of the most badass women ever in it. It's got two badass women in it. All sorts of badass women. Those longer series too. There's so many badass women. How are you gonna have that point of view? I don't know.
It's not my point of view. Let's be clear. I don't think it's anyone's here. To be clear on that front as well. But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, she's not stepping back. She said they've been working on a succession plan. That someone will eventually take over, but it's not happening necessarily anytime soon. She's not necessarily stepping down at the end of the year, and that's the truth. And what she said is basically this is what I do. Even if I step down from Lucasfilm, I will still be making movies. She's been a longtime producer even before the Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm, and so she's been a creative force in Hollywood for literally decades. So it will happen at some point, but not imminently. And as part of this kind of interview that Deadline gave, they did the kind of all right, so what the fuck is going on with Star Wars right now? Well, we have you. What's going on with this? And so one of the things that is definitely, apparently, at least as of now, moving forward, is this trilogy that Simon Kinberg signed a deal to write, which I think we would have talked about the headline. I don't think I mentioned it in the 10 things that I rattled off, because I think this was the most recent announcement from a few months ago, where Simon Kinberg is developing a trilogy of Star Wars movies. And so he's writing that. As of that interview, which was from a couple weeks ago. Shawn Levy one is apparently going to be taking place. This is some information to follow up on the Ryan Gosling headline. It'll take place post episode 9. She says about 5 or 6 years out. So it's kind of, I guess, could involve some characters maybe that we've seen pop up in that time frame, potentially. But she says there's about 3 or 4 projects that are percolating. Kind of in development right now. So the James Mangold one is still in the process. He's working on the script. That's the Dawn of the Jedi one. And the Taika one is apparently still maybe happening, but it kind of sounds like it's... Okay. It sounds... the way that she talks about it is, I think if we, quote unquote, if we ever do get a script from Taika, it's going to be fantastic. Which is to say... He needs to write the damn thing, which he's probably, he's doing a lot. He's always doing a lot. He's doing this and that. Yeah. And Marvel, well, I don't know if Marvel's going to want to bring him in for more Thor at this point, but, obviously he was doing Thor. He was tied up with Thor, and then when he wasn't doing Thor, he was, bouncing between Jojo Rabbit and, the other things that he
I still need a Tom Cruise. I know Tom Cruise wasn't going to direct it, but Tom Cruise could certainly direct it. Rogue Squadron. I definitely need a Tom Cruise Rogue Squadron. In the like a reskin of Maverick.
Like a Top Gun Maverick, but it's just Star Wars basically. Well, I mean, like that tech is there, so you could get sorry, Patty. I guess she was.
No offense, Patty.
No offense, but yeah, Patty Jenkins is not mentioned in this Kathleen Kennedy interview. We'll say.
No,
so
I don't mean any offense by saying that.
I think the answer is Wonder Woman 1984 happened, and it has unfortunately kind of tanked they're stalled. Her career, which is probably not completely attributable to her. But that movie was real bad, so I guess.
Yeah, but that's wild. Like it's one bad movie and one good movie. I don't know. It's almost like.
Well, she's a woman.
I would take it. Yeah, exactly.
If she was a white man,
you have one chance.
You get one chance,
right? If you don't make,
you fucked it.
I'm sure it did well enough in the box office too. Like it's not the best movie by any stretch, but it probably.
Well, that's the problem is it didn't because they dumped it during COVID.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it did not make any money. I think so.
True.
So it was bad, and it didn't make money. So, yeah, someone's head's got to roll. And well, sorry, Patty, you're on the chopping block.
That's fucked up.
I don't know. Anyway, that's what's going on. Kathleen Kennedy. Sorry, toxic fanboys. I know you're disappointed. You'll be happy in a few years' time, I'm sure, because she can't be there forever. But I just want to see good Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get good Star Wars. I mean, we've gotten good Star Wars. I still haven't watched
Andor,
Skeleton Crew, which I've heard good things about.
Star Wars things was made under Patty, right? So
under Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, under
what did I say? Not what I said. I meant
under Patty. Patty's not making anything.
Definitely not Patty. I meant Kathleen. You know what I meant. Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get you.
So give me good Star Wars. That's my humble request. And if you could hold off on having women in it, that would be great. Actually, no, just kidding. Just kidding. To be clear, just kidding. Anyone? No. Okay. All right.
Don't we all like women? I don't get it.
I mean, I think his. Three
married
men.
Women's
in
History
theory,
Month.
We like women. I think that's probably a good.
There's a lot of
say.
married men that don't respect women, so
that's true.
I guess automatically.
Right.
And they hang out. I suppose. Sometimes they start a podcast to hang out with their bros and be like, "Oh, my wife sucks, dude." Like, "Oh, I hate her. She's always telling me to do this and that, man."
Oh God.
But then the other guy is like, "Oh yeah, she made me do this." Like, "Oh, you're so whipped, bro. You're so whipped, dude."
Can I go on a 30-second tangent? So we have a person do our taxes, and he, I think, accidentally sent it to everyone instead of doing it like individually or like a BCC situation.
Okay.
And then you're like, okay, fine, you just reply. But some people don't always understand that, and they hit reply all, right? And then some guy, I don't know who this was, but some guy's just like, hey, some taxes. It's like, also, my ex-wife needs some help, but she hasn't really responded. So if she doesn't respond, then I don't know, man, screw her. And then some other person like continues on the thread, like, yeah, man, screw her. Like I assume the second one was a joke, but I'm like, oh, dude, what are you? What?
That's pretty good.
Oh man, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Ay. All right. Who wants to talk some Marvel stuff? Switch gears. Get out of Star Wars land over to Marvel land.
Jesus.
What do we got? For Marvel,
Marvel's making some moves on the TV front in like the negative direction of like we're going to slow our roll. We are going to slow our roll. We're going to take a page out of Kathleen Kennedy's playbook, develop a lot of shit, and then not make any of them. That's what we're going to do.
There you go.
Go. Marvel Television has paused development on at least 3 projects that we know of, which sources stress were never officially greenlit. They were just in development at some point. But basically, Marvel Television, which is an arm of Marvel Studios, is basically changing their approach to how they're developing TV shows. I think we may have talked about this a little bit in the past, but what they want is not a bunch of mini movies in the way that they kind of did out the gate with Disney Plus, with your WandaVisions, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki. I guess Loki's maybe less of a good example, but they want to have stuff that is more traditional, seasons of a thing, not 6 episodes, longer seasons, sustained seasons. So something that just started airing, Daredevil Born Again, is an example of that's what they want to do. They want to make multiple seasons about a central character, and they want to do less of this 6-episode thing, one and done sort of thing. So the 3 shows that were in development were Nova, Strange Academy, and Terror Incorporated. So obviously Nova is probably the only one that we've really knew, or at least had some inkling that they had been working on. Nova, of course, being Mr. Dick Ryder, Richard Ryder, who, I think was probably the furthest along, is what it sounds like. And I think it was a show that was going to be centered on the character of Richard Ryder, who, is part of the Nova Corps, at least at one point with the Annihilation stuff, basically absorbs the power of the Nova Force and gets like a pretty incredible set of cosmic powers to space cuff about. They had gone as far as hiring a writer and a showrunner for the series, but it sounds like that show is not happening. And it's not to say that these shows will never happen or that this character will never be used. Maybe you get a Nova movie in 10 years, who's to say, or even a Nova TV show put back on the, now the time's right, we want to do this in 5 years' time, but now is not the time. The other shows would have been Strange Academy, which would have been a Wong-focused show, which would have also involved... would have involved Wong educating young individuals with magical abilities. So obviously there's
pretty cool.
Potential for like an America Chavez to appear there. Any other character, maybe Ned. Ned had some magical talents that were shown off in No Way Home, so he could be part of the Strange Academy. And then the last one's a weird one, which I don't know anything about. Terror Incorporated centers on an anti-hero by the name of Terror, who possesses the ability to incorporate the body parts of others into his own form, gaining their memories and abilities. So it sounds like some weird body horror shit. So I don't know if that would have been like an intentionally darker side of Marvel that they were going for, and maybe they're steering away because it was a little too full on for even the TV side of Marvel to get into. But either way, those are the 3 shows that we know we will not be seeing anytime soon, perhaps ever. So how do we feel about this new traditional model for TV? Do we feel like we're going to be mourning the losses of these particular shows?
I mean, so out of these 3, I was only looking forward to Nova. I was not that familiar with the other 2, but I'm also on the page of I really need a good Nova show. I don't think this is a character that is a Spider-Man or Batman that's going to get 30 iterations. There hasn't been a Nova that's focus
fair.
Thing outside of like him popping up in like the Ultimate Spider-Man and some other stuff. So I think if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. So if it's not going to be right, I'm okay waiting. I'm sad that it's not happening. And the other 2, could be cool, but it's also, we're getting a lot of Marvel stuff. And I think it's got to be good. People are tired of things that are just kind of like mid, like even if it's not bad, it's like, all right. So, overall, I'm okay. I'll live with it. I'd rather get less things that are high in quality than be spread too thin.
I agree with that.
Totally agree. Give me good shit. I just want good shit.
Yeah. Whether it's like the characters I like or not, 100% on board. Just good shit.
Just make good things. How hard could it be?
Yeah.
Apparently quite
apparently
turns
very
out
difficult,
But everyone likes things, differently. Not everything has a universally agreed upon consensus. But at the same time, sometimes there's a universally agreed upon consensus.
Good writing is
this is
good
not
writing.
Great. This is not great. This is okay at best.
CG looks like shit generally universally. Their CGI that looks good or bad,
Right, that's fair. Yeah. So and I agree, and I think it's a really good point about the Nova thing of like, oh, I'm bummed, I want to see Nova, but it's like, yeah, if you're going to Secret Invasion Nova, then I don't want to see it ever.
Yeah, then that's like, don't even,
because Secret Invasion is the lesson to be learned of. If you're just pumping this shit out because someone had a good idea, or this comic book was cool at one point, or like this general idea, and then you have no idea how to do any of that, and you just shit something out because you're on a time, a deadline. Same thing with Iron Fist, even going back to the Netflix days. They had this great idea of doing the Defenders, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, what a cool character. And then they hired some fucking dumb shit, showrunner who, had no fundamental understanding of the character,
Jesus.
And then they brought in Finn Jones and were like, you know how to fight, right? No? Okay, we'll figure it out. I don't know. Do it right. I mean, give it the time it needs to properly develop. And it's true of the movie side as well. Like, get it,
right.
Write a script.
Get it right, man.
Make sure that someone other than the writer has read the script, or or I don't know. There's a lot of things that can be done, but it does seem like Marvel in general, the quality has not been consistent, really, probably since
that's fair.
They've split off into this realm of, we're also doing the Disney Plus series. And it's not to say, I mean, there's been some great ones in the bunch, obviously.
Oh, yeah. But consistency.
But then there's some Secret Invasions in the bunch, where it's just like, oh, I didn't know you were capable of making something this bad. Usually the baseline is like, yeah, I mean, it could be better, but it's pretty
an Incredible
solid.
Hulk or Iron Man 2. Yeah, it's fun.
Maybe even something slightly above mid, but I don't know. Anyway, that's that. One last headline. So I debated whether to put this in here. And so I'll let you guys look at what you want to look at if you haven't looked at it already.
I saw it.
So I wasn't, Henrique, I know that you're usually reticent to try to look at spoilers for things, but this is nothing, there's nothing in here that's officially confirmed. This is all kind of somewhat conjecture at this point. And because of that, that's usually the type of thing that I wouldn't even bother to include because it's kind of in a weird sort of space, but I should probably say what it is. There's a lot of concept art reportedly from Avengers Doomsday that has leaked onto the internet. So what happened is there's a concept artist who has done a lot of work for Marvel Studios who had like an art page basically where, you can upload, images that you've personally worked on to this. And I think it's pretty common for them to do this. What's less common is for them to publicly upload things for upcoming projects. And I think that it was either a mistake or I think it was definitely a mistake. Unless you want to buy into a conspiracy theory that Marvel intentionally leaked this, which is not crazy. Could happen. But I think it was a mistake either in the sense that she uploaded this to the wrong place, or she uploaded this thinking that it was going to a private folder that could maybe be shared for, getting future jobs, as a concept artist. Whatever the case may be, it went on the internet, and even though it was pulled down very quickly, it was on the internet for at least 5 minutes, which means it's always on. It's on the internet now. And so you can certainly find this if you look on the internet in the right places. You don't have to look that hard. Google will get you there. I'm not going to link to it, but you can get there. And so not only was there concept art for theoretically Avengers Doomsday, there's concept art for Fantastic Four, there's concept art for maybe the upcoming Vision, White Vision series. But I think the most interesting thing is what we potentially saw from Avengers Doomsday. And the reason I wanted to include it here, and we'll see how into the weeds we get with this, I think it's fair to say that all of us are kind of ambivalent at best about the event, the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars kind of back to back. It doesn't feel like we've generated the momentum or hype in the way that Infinity War and Endgame have. I think everyone kind of agrees with that sentiment, not just in not in this virtual room that we're sharing, but generally speaking, you know what I mean? Like, I think everyone's kind of just like, because Doomsday comes out next year, and that's kind of crazy to think about.
Soon,
right?
Man.
That's kind of crazy. Like, we've had no build up to Doctor Doom being a character in the MCU. Nothing. And then the Robert Downey Jr. of it all is like, oh man, like, does it just feel like Marvel pulling the emergency lever? Like, we've talked about it a lot. So I don't want to talk about that aspect of it too much, except to say can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're all kind of feeling that way of
same page.
Are we really excited for this? Will we watch it? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm sure we will. But
I am excited.
Excited to see what the fuck it is, I guess, but not excited because I'm sold on it, right? Like, I think that's kind of where it is.
That's right.
So we see a lot of things in this concept art that I'll say for myself make me way more fucking intrigued than I was before I saw this concept art. And grain of salt in the sense that we don't know if the movie is going to be reflective of this concept art. This is purely concept art. It might have been the artist spitballing of like, here's what I'd like to see, or it might have been a directive of, this is a scene from the movie. We want to see what your take is on it. So sort of the things that we see, and you guys have access to a link. You're welcome to not look if you want. But some of the things we see are, number one, a design of Doctor Doom, which looks fucking awesome. Absolutely badass.
It looks good.
Looks like Doctor Doom, which, as we've seen in multiple iterations of the Fantastic Four movies, easier said than done, or I guess harder said than done. I don't know.
I don't know. It should be easy.
It should be easy. Just copy the comic book design, and you're probably going to be good. But that's a hard thing to do. So, Doctor Doom, how are we feeling about this design from this? If this was the final design, are we digging this?
Yeah, I like the furs. Sure. I like the metal.
Seems to be armor.
One thing that I'm it looks like he's emoting on this throne that he's sitting on. And one thing I always kind of liked about Doctor Doom, like his mask was always kind of like
static,
like fixed. Yeah. And I think
don't give him Ultron teeth.
I don't want Ultron teeth. I don't want. I don't need him to emote. I could take a V for Vendetta.
He's never happy. He's just
performance. You know what I mean? And the idea that his face is always just stoic and like I said, doesn't move, I think adds to the character a little bit. However, and this goes for like all the images in this link that I followed. This artist is a badass artist.
Yeah, I agree with that. The art itself is really, really nice.
Really good.
So I'm just going to run through what these are, you guys, and then I'll hand it off to you guys if there's anything that stands out to you. So there's a Doctor Doom image on the throne. There's a separate image of him on the throne in like a throne room with others in it. Looks like a Doctor Strange is there, possibly serving him.
I do like that image.
Maybe Sue Storm by his side as his wife. It's hard to tell. The faces are kind of hard.
Whoa.
There's like a prisoner being brought before him, which kind of looks like Pedro Pascal. So it's kind of, this feels like a multiversey sort of thing where this doesn't even strike me as, well, this might be multiversal Latveria, I guess, perhaps, but it feels just the costuming and everything feels a little bit like medieval almost. The sense of it. Similar to that, we see several Hulks. Looks like a Hulk, She-Hulk, maybe Scar, but he's not looking as doofy as he did in She-Hulk, if that is indeed Scar. But again, looks kind of like a medieval type setting. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So I don't know. Something's going on there. There appear to be a group of young Avengers hanging out with Wong and Star-Lord. Yeah. Consisting
and that fucking floating
Dupe from the X-Men. Little floating guy, little Slimer looking guy. So Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, and then what appears to be Speed and Wiccan. So Wiccan we saw in Agatha all along, and Speed we have not seen properly introduced, but I think just teased. And then I think there's another one which is not in this set, but there's one of White Vision and Star-Lord, I think, hanging out. Yeah. And then lastly, there's a Black Panther, which does not look at all like Chadwick Boseman, is very obviously not Shuri, but is a Black Panther. So we know, again, is this a multiversal Black Panther? Who's to say? But it looks like we're maybe getting another iteration of Black Panther potentially.
That
assuming any of this thing
behind him almost looks like a Zoid. I don't know if you guys know about Zoids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks a little bit Zoidish.
So I don't know. Lot to unpack here, obviously. But again, I guess I go back to what I say. This is the first time where I'm like genuinely like, oh, if this is close to what the movie is actually going to be, I could find myself interested in this far more than I expected to.
Sure.
Just based on everything that we've known to this point.
It's the Russo, so hopefully that brings back a little bit of the confidence. But I agree. I'm kind of like wondering, like, what are we really gonna do? We kind of were shifting towards Kang. Now we're going towards Doom, and that throne scene definitely reminds me of the most recent Secret Wars iteration, where it was God Emperor Doom, and he just controls all the multiverses and just like battle world, and which is pretty cool. So if that's
pretty cool,
maybe the setup for Secret Wars, that could be interesting. I think they have a lot of building to do if they want to introduce all these characters. And I mean, we haven't even seen all of these people. We don't know
not a lot of time to get
We haven't seen Speed, so yeah. So maybe this is an intro, kind of almost like a fucking Infinity War to an Endgame.
That's what
it could be. Like, there's a lot of multiversal stuff. Like, you bring in who you want to bring into this multiverse war, and then you kind of just forget about, the Secret Invasions and the other ones you don't want to include.
Yeah. Sorry, the Eternals. You will be left at home.
That's totally fine.
You'll pop up for an Endgame style Portals battle where you get your own portal, and they're like, "Look, there they are! They came back! Oh man, there's Kit Harington. Blade's still not here though. No Blade.
No, we're not.
Just Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes is back, but no more.
There you go. Yeah. Sure.
Anyway, all right. Any other thoughts on that? It's interesting. It's really interesting to unpack, and so I hope this is not giving false impressions, and what we get is like, oh, why didn't they do that other thing that looked really cool? I guess that's the danger with stuff like this, is concept art is just that. It's not only art visually, it's going to look very different on the screen, but it's a concept, and it may not be a concept that's brought to reality, but we'll see. Yeah. So if we're ready to move on, before we fully dive into trailers, a big thing happened really since the last time we recorded any sort of traditional episode. I don't think we've recorded a traditional episode since Nosferatu, which probably would have been in January, I would guess. So a little thing called the Super Bowl happened. And for Enrique and myself, obviously it was rather exciting because the Philadelphia Eagles found themselves in there staring the evil empire in the face. And, we'll talk about it more maybe a little bit later, but they destroyed the evil empire, and it was satisfying that the rebellion won. But of course, in terms of how it applies to Watch Review Repeat, Super Bowl, a lot of companies, a lot of studios tend to get in on the action with, obviously, funny commercials and stuff like that. Some weird commercials, obviously, too. But big TV spots for all the big upcoming movies. Like what can we advertise? What can we show off? Is coming soon. And I'll say I think it's not the best slate I've ever seen of Super Bowl movie ads, particularly.
Yeah.
There's some in there that obviously I'm excited for. Some of these we've talked about a little bit already in different forms. And there are a couple that we'll talk about. I guess 3 that we'll talk about next that were part of the Super Bowl lineup, but then had full trailers like within the same time frame. So we'll just talk about the full trailer instead of talking about the 30-second thing and then talking about the trailer again. That feels silly. So what we did get for the Super Bowl, we got M3 2.0, which I think Andrew and I would have talked about a little bit on the 2025 episode. We got another peek at Brad Pitt and F1, the movie about F1 from Top Gun Maverick director Joseph Kosinski. We got a really, really fun, I thought, Lilo and Stitch ad of Stitch going crazy on the field, running around, like stealing a cart, like the injury cart, and driving around, which I thought was fun. Like a good way of advertising a movie, but tying it into the game, which was fun. We got a Thunderbolts big game spot, and we got a big game trailer we'll talk about shortly. Likewise for Jurassic World Rebirth. More looks at Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which still has a bad title. I don't know that we got a lot of new footage on that. It seemed to be kind of just a shorter version of the trailer that we've talked about already. We got something for a movie called Captain America: Brave New World. Does anyone know anything about that?
Oh, I heard of that one.
I still don't know.
I don't know either. A movie called How to Train Your Dragon. I thought this movie already came out like 10, 15 years ago.
It did.
Oh.
It's coming out again.
It's coming out again. It's coming out again. And it's the same, but it's different. It's the different, but it's the same. Novocaine, Jack Quaid. Jack Quaid, his sons continues. And he can't feel pain. The Smurfs. I think this is something that we did not talk about on our 2025 episode. Another Smurfs movie happening, but it's not a continuation of the others live action Smurfs movie. It's a different version of the Smurfs in live action.
That's weird.
Where the Smurfs are still animated, so they're not at least trying to make the Smurfs themselves. That would be weird. And then Sinners. Sinners is a movie that we can talk about in just a second, unless anyone has any thoughts about any of those movies I've rattled off. Like I said, a few of those we are going to get into in more detail, but of that lineup, I mean, anything and anything in there you guys want to talk about right now before we do move on to the big trailers?
Don't think I'll be catching Smurfs, but it's okay. It's all right.
Intriguing. I thought that was probably the best out of all of them. I mean, that F1 trailer was pretty cool too, or TV spot or whatever we're calling them now, but I like the Intriguing 2.0. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely pumped. So, yeah. All right. Sounds like we're ready to move on then. So let us move on to a movie coming to theaters April 18th. It is the next film from director Ryan Coogler. It stars Michael B. Jordan and, wait for it, Michael B. Jordan as twins. Cousins, maybe. I don't know who's to say. And a movie called Sinners. This movie is called Sinners. This is our second trailer, I think, peeling back the lid a little bit, showing off a bit more of what it is. The first one, I think, very much gave a sense of the setting. This one giving a little bit more of the plot direction. Some things in here that maybe seemed a little spoilery, but definitely getting a better sense of what the movie is going to be. So how are we feeling about Sinners? Ryan Coogler's next. Ryan Coogler, obviously, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Fruitvale Station, Creed. So, incredible director. Absolutely incredible director.
Oh, yeah.
Just needs to be said. It should be understood, but it also needs to be said. So yeah, how are we feeling about Sinners?
I'm a big vampire guy. I like vampire stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like the vampires?
I do. Nosferatu. I think that's cool. You got Interview with Vampires, one of my favorites.
Okay.
I heard the new show is good too.
I've heard good things.
I haven't watched any of that.
I've heard good things though. Yeah.
But I've always liked that kind of, I don't know,
big
genre,
Twilight fan?
I guess. No, I've got thoughts on that. I don't like those kinds of vampires.
Too sparkly.
Right. But vampires are one of those things where I like them enough to where when they do something, when someone does something with a vampire, I have opinions about it. You know what I mean? If they step out of line or whatever, I have a very narrow thing of what I think vampires should be doing. Anyways, this is right up there. This is almost like I get like Scooby-Doo Werewolf Island kind of vibes. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Okay. You're set in the bayou. You got some weird fucking people out there. They're doing things the whole thing seems unhinged. And it seems really cool. And I like the idea of the bluesy music kind of deal. Like I get like a snake, what is it? Black Snake Moan kind of vibe kind of going on with the vampires. And it's just the whole thing. Yeah. The whole thing seems like synergistic. It just seems like everything kind of coming together for a vibe. And it looks really well done. I'm really excited about it. I am actually very, very excited about it. This is kind of one of the things I'm most excited about for the year, actually. Okay. I think it's probably going to be really good. I like Michael B. Jordan. I like Coogler. I think it feels inspired. It feels like something everybody wants to make. You know what I mean? Like everybody on board wants to make it. The cast seems all in it. I don't know. I'm pretty pumped. Pretty fucking pumped about it.
Yeah.
Somebody else can talk about it because I
Henrique, why don't you talk about
Sure.
it? How you feeling about Sinners?
I like the trailers. This is from Ryan Coogler, as you said, and I'm a big fan of his. I've liked all of his movies that he's done. I'm normally not big into horror, but I feel like I've been all on board. So if this is where he's going, I feel like this is going to be good. And I don't know. He's one of those directors. Like, I think you could really focus on anything. I think he's always trying to say something. Mm-hmm. I didn't necessarily see like a big message from here, and that's okay. Like, I think if he's just making a really entertaining kind of different movie, like he has enough skills that whatever he's trying to say, whether it's big or small, I think is going to be interesting. And he just has such a great, working relationship with Michael B. Jordan. And, so I think we're going to keep seeing those two really shape some parts of Hollywood, because they make some great movies together. So looks like it could be another one.
There's a lot you can say in a vampire movie with Coogler saying it. You know what I mean?
I think
it could be really interesting.
Yeah, I think I may literally have said this on the last episode, the 2025 one, but if not, then I've said it in the past. It's really interesting to me to see Ryan Coogler writing an original story. That's
Mm-hmm.
Fruitvale was based off of real life events, tragic real life events. Creed was obviously based on pre-existing, Rocky lore and stuff IP, like that. Like, obviously it's an extension of that IP, and it's a great extension, arguably better than most of the Rocky franchise before that.
True.
Black Panther is an adaptation of beloved character in comic books, so it's not to say that he's never made something original. Like, he's absolutely made lots that's been original, but a lot of it I feel like has had jumping off points, and this to me is just the jumping off point is, I like vampires, I'm going to write some vampire shit. And that's really exciting to see, is just him getting a chance to just do something that feels wholly his idea, and this is what it is. I'm a sucker, I think, for period horror. Like, I think that's really cool. Interesting. I guess like Lovecraft kind of had that a little bit, obviously got pretty batshit Lovecraft.
It's an interesting time for this kind of horror, you know what I mean?
But yeah, I think that's really interesting. This is 1930s Jim Crow era, United States. So like, you've got a big element of racial relations that's going to be, I'm sure, a big part of this. And then you throw some supernatural shit, vampires in the mix, and things can get pretty crazy. So I think that the combination of things, story-wise, talent-wise, Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, the YouTube description also mentions that behind the camera artisans include Black Panther franchise collaborators, director of photography, production designer, editor, composer, aka Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, the composer was a big deal for me.
And costume designer.
I had to look it up to make sure.
So to look, Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, Ludwig Göransson company cooking. I think there's a lot of potential here. I think we're going to get something. I hope we're going to get something really, really special here.
I think you're going to get a lot of appreciation for that period, like for that kind of music. That kind of music is super special,
right? And like, that's the this is going to be, I think, probably very different than what we've seen Ludwig do recently. Like a very different side of, the types of movies that he's been working on. Will be really interesting to see. So, to hear, I guess, for his particular, part of involvement in it. But,
right.
But I'm very excited. So April 18th, we'll be getting Sinners. It feels like one we'll probably be covering. I think I will be watching it. Let's put it that
Absolutely.
way. So,
I will be there.
Now in July, a new era will be born in Jurassic World Rebirth, which we have an official trailer for. Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, two-time Oscar winner Mahershala Ali, when he's not busy not playing Blade, he's in this movie. Directed by Gareth Edwards, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, the creator, Gareth Edwards, Godzilla, 2014 Godzilla, Gareth Edwards. The continuation of the Jurassic World franchise, but an evolution, a reboot of sorts, in the sense that it's, we're leaving Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard behind, at least as far as we know. Maybe Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum as well. I don't know. We'll see. They'll probably be in one of those five people will be in this movie, is my bold prediction. But how are we feeling about more Jurassic? Do we feel like maybe this is a return to form after, I think...
What is the form exactly?
Well, I mean, the original, the great form is the first Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
I think we've had one really great
back
movie.
to hit form.
We got to go to the 90s. We got to go back 3 decades to get there. But that's the question. I mean, The Lost World. I think The Lost World is like probably better than at least 2 of the Jurassic World movies. 3's pretty bad. 4 is like fine. 4 was like 4 retroactively is better because we saw that the other Jurassic World movies are like, oh no, we did have it pretty good for that first Jurassic World, I guess. So I mean, it's absolutely a valid question. This is a franchise that I think, on the whole, has been more bad than good at this point in time. But the question that I'm asking is Rebirth going to recapture the magic of the original, or is it bleeding a little bit more into the territory that we've seen with the recent entries? That's the question I pose.
That's a good question.
Answer it as you will.
The cast, I think, has the ability to bring us the magic.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's an answer.
Cast.
It's not really answering the question.
We have a talented crew behind the camera.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think you have an IP.
So the potential is there.
Which is awesome. You have an awesome cast, and you have an awesome crew. Oh, look at that. Look at a little finger thumbs up.
You got thumbs up. Big thumbs up.
Shit, double thumbs up.
Oh my God, fireworks.
Fireworks. Wow. Oh shit. You're a big fan of this movie.
I think that you have the recipe is there. It's all about the execution. You know what I mean? Which is what I think I say. I don't know if we've ever been on record for Jurassic Park movies. I feel like we have at one point, but I feel like I go in hopeful for a good Jurassic Park, and it's almost like a Mandela effect. You say Jurassic Park, you get fucking pumped every time. But I'm consistently let down by Jurassic Park. It's like I don't remember. I guess the only good Jurassic Park I remember is the first one. It was fucking incredible.
It's so good.
Know?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say the first one is the only one that's legitimately
so good.
It's so good. It's incredible.
Great. Like I guess I don't know if I'd make an argument that any of the other ones are even good. But the first one is
if all we ever had were every movie after the first one, I don't think I'd ever be pumped about a Jurassic Park movie. But we got number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so every time Jurassic Park is put in front of anything, okay, I'm here for it,
You know that it's fucking dinosaurs, man. Like dinosaurs are cool.
It's almost like they're selling you the IP, and they're like, "You like Jurassic Park, right? Like you're gonna watch this other movie." And you're like, "Is Dinosaur Jurassic Park? Fuck yeah, I'm gonna go watch it." And you watch it, and you're like, "Well, what was that?" And I
hold on a second. Why is this whole movie about locusts? What's going on here?
Locusts and clone girls, and I'm just like, the last 2 were so bad. I am convinced that this cannot be worse. Like
I think that's a fair.
That's a good point.
I don't think we can get any worse. I know we've talked about which one is the worst. The last 2 are I don't honestly they're both
bad.
Awful.
They're rough.
Like truly I want to leave the theater bad, and it's such a shame to see it to this IP. But I'm going to have to see more again. If maybe I keep my expectations low, it's like just don't make a terrible movie, and to make something better than that, then I'll be pleasantly surprised. If you just give me dinosaurs and a semi-decent plot that's not we don't have to keep making these dinosaurs with lasers and all this shit. It's just what's really interesting, what's really cool, just dinosaurs. A T-Rex is still cool in 2025. I don't care what anyone says. A raptor, terrifying. That's all you need to do. Yeah. That's it. So just get back to basics, maybe. And
the thing that's got me kind of pumping the brakes a little bit is they got some sort of gorilla monster looking thing behind some sort of glass.
Yeah. We don't need to do that, man. We don't need to sell dinosaurs for $5 million on the black market.
Seems to be
what are we doing?
Tonally closer to Godzilla times Kong than than the first Jurassic Park, right? You know,
yeah. So that's kind of the vibes I'm getting.
Yeah, I mean, I take your initial point, Andrew, of like, okay, Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Mahershala Ali, directed by Gareth Edwards. Like, fuck, that sounds pretty cool. Script from the original Jurassic Park screenwriter, David Koepp. Hell yeah. Like, all of these things sound like they should be really good. And then I watch this trailer and I'm like, oh no, it's just the same shit. It is the same shit. I'm not getting fooled by this. And I think, I don't know. I mean, I guess the only commonality I can think of, like the two entries that I would argue are even close to good, one being the first one, I think is certainly above the line. It's definitely more than good. But I think the first Jurassic World, I think is like okay. It's like solid. It's fun. It's kind of
it's fun.
But
it's fun.
The thing is, both of those movies are doing the park thing. They're doing, you go to the theme park and then shit goes sideways in the theme park, and it's kind of contained, and that environment is really cool. And you know, it's almost like once they get outside the park, they lose the plot of like, oh my god, what do we do now? It's just and it's like it shouldn't be that hard. It's just fucking dinosaurs, man. You know, like dinosaurs on the loose. Like it should just be like survival. And I don't know, like but just tonally, plot wise, they just seem to have just fucking just lost it, you know, and they don't know how to do it.
I'm on the same boat.
I don't know. I think that this trailer did not inspire confidence for me.
It's fair.
It just looks the line delivered, the dialogue alone just sounds horrendous.
It sounds, like, you know what? It sounds like 80s adventure movie, and I'm okay.
It does, but even the visuals
not in a fun way
didn't do anything. You know, like Gareth Edwards, we've known has pulled a lot out of a little, and like his budget's probably 20 times what he's used to at this, and it's just like, I don't know. Like I thought maybe he would add a little spark to it. But it seems like, at least if this trailer is any indication, he's just Guy Ritchieing this shit, you know, just being like, I just got to do my paycheck movie. I got to do a paycheck movie so I can go turn around and do the thing I actually care about. Like that's what this feels like, is a big old paycheck movie, and not just for him, for everyone. This looks like the paycheckiest of movies that everyone is paycheck. I mean, look at that. I'm going to end this. We got to move on.
Okay.
The description in YouTube. I keep going to the YouTube descriptions for all these things. A new era is born. Okay. Tagline. Fine. Next line. This summer, 3 years after the Jurassic World trilogy concluded with each film surpassing $1 billion at the global box office, the enduring Jurassic series evolves in an ingenious new direction with Jurassic World Rebirth. Their focus is on how much money this shit has made. It doesn't care.
Like, that's what I'm gonna say. Like this IP is proven that everything. You can make the worst movie. Like this is beyond Transformers levels. Like you could make the worst movie, and this will still make a lot of money. And I don't know. Like it's just like take that and give us something good. Like give us something halfway decent.
The worst part,
we're giving you our money.
Are you gonna see it?
That's the thing. I'm really debating. I feel like I might have to wait till the first week.
I feel like it's going to continue to be made until we don't go.
Unless I'm saying like, fuck you, you're not getting my money.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That last one was so bad. I'll probably wait for the reviews.
I think I have to, like, you just tricked me and
fooled me too many times. Are even slightly better than tepid, that might be enough to just, A-list it, like,
the trailer.
Will we cover it? I don't know. We did not cover the last one because it was. I think we both saw it in theaters, but we never actually covered it properly on the show.
It's awful.
It's kind of just like, who cares? Like, I don't care. Like, obviously, someone cares out there in the world because it's making $1 billion, and fucking, they're not going to let you forget about that. But
this seems like a Hollywood because when did the last one come out? 2 years ago. Like it's gonna. 2023, 22?
Yeah. There's a quick turnaround. I think 2 years ago.
It's not even like we've waited that long. It's like, I've been dying for a new Jurassic Park movie. It's like, nah, you're just putting this shit out all the time, and you're not giving me
taking advantage of us. Really, we should all be actively.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting taken advantage of just because we like dinosaurs.
But 3 years to be clear.
It's not that long.
But,
yeah,
I don't know.
Fuckers.
All right, let's move on. We've got Marvel and Star Wars.
Now that we got fired up about this, let's
we got fired up. Let's see if we'll be fired up about the next trailer. Marvel Studios Thunderbolts.
Yeah, fuck this movie too.
Big game trailer. All right, you're not digging Thunderbolts?
No, I'm not. It feels like
right, let's talk about it.
This is pure cinema.
It feels you know what it feels
That's
like.
true. We didn't. I should have given Andrew the A24 inspired trailer to watch instead of the big game trailer. See if that changes your mind.
Which one?
They just put out a few. I think Florence Pugh made some comments about like how the filmmaking of this felt A24-esque.
Oh, you stop it! You stop it, Florence.
It's
There's
absolute
no way.
cinema. It's absolute cinema.
Marvel put like a thing that's kind of highlighting the creatives behind it. It's like a 1 minute thing. Pretty stylish, the edited trailer. But it is called Absolute Cinema, Marvel Studios Thunderbolts. He's not lying. The words are there for a reason. They're being spoken for a reason. So Andrew, if you're feeling a certain way about Thunderbolts, I'd like to know why.
Yeah, well, it just doesn't look like a good fucking movie. It looks like shit. If I'm being honest, it feels to me almost like. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's charming, almost just like Jurassic Park. Everybody in Jurassic Park looked charming. Right? But this looks like more. It just looks more like, it reminded me of, Suicide Squad a little bit. Which I guess it should.
The Suicide
Right,
Squad.
in concept, it is kind of the same thing.
It is kind of like the same thing.
Which
so
one?
I guess it should.
Yeah, that's true. The
James
question
Gunn
is which
one?
Suicide
The
Squad.
Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad?
No, it kind of reminded me of.
I would assume the
Will
bad
Smith.
one based
Will
on
Smith.
Yeah, okay.
Reminds me of Will Smith.
Ooh,
a
that's
little bit.
not good. That's not good.
It's not a favorable comparison to make.
No, to be fair, I wasn't a super big fan of I'm not a fan of the premise by itself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or I'm not a fan of the premise of the Suicide Squad. I don't want to say it's the same premise as this one, but it kind of seems like the same kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's similar. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that premise. I'm not a fan of Venom getting his own movie. I'm not a fan of Joker getting his own movie. I'm not a fan of any of that. I don't like any of it.
Okay.
You're not an anti-hero kind of guy.
I like Punisher. I think Punisher could have his own movie.
Okay.
So maybe I'm just biased against certain characters, I guess. I don't know. But, like, these characters I don't know. Like, I don't care enough about these characters.
Didn't sell you.
No, it did not. I mean, yeah, Bucky. Bucky's an interesting character. I don't know. I'm just not pumped up about it. I don't know.
All right. Yeah. Well, Henrique, what do you think? You on the same page? Are you a little bit? I
hear what you're saying. I think I don't have a huge connection to most of these characters. I didn't expect a lot coming in from this. I have not read Thunderbolts comics, although there are supposed to be some good ones. But this project has me
how much. Like this doesn't
right. They're
really
probably
feel
just
like
doing their own thing. Like Thunderbolt Ross, I don't think is that involved in this.
No, and I
maybe that's the asterisk.
Like or Norman Osborn, or I think this seems to be let's just assemble some of the C and D list Marvel characters that we've made built into the MCU, but don't have a good place. Stick them in a room together and make a movie out of that.
Right. I'm a little bit more hopeful for this one. I think I could certainly be disappointed, but I've heard better things, just like rumblings about this movie than I have of recent other ones. And I think this maybe you're not coming in with high expectations either, so we might be pleasantly surprised. I don't know that this is going to be absolute cinema, but I'm hopeful it will be like a positive notch, and like maybe it's just indie. It will just maybe A24ish enough and like indie enough that it's like a good time. And I will give it credit. I think the trailers have, for me, like said enough about it without giving away too much. I feel like I don't know the plot entirely too much, and that makes me more intrigued. Yeah.
Because I think that's a criticism that I'm going to be levying about a certain movie that we may or may not be talking about on this very episode of maybe don't show the whole movie in your trailer, and the movie-going experience will be, richer for it. I do feel like they're holding a lot of stuff back, at least in terms of who is the villain. We know, I kind of put two and two together.
You can look at it. Yeah,
knowing things, but I think for anyone just casually watching this, there's not a Red Hulk running around at the end of this trailer for the last little bit. There's not something obvious here. It is really very, like, trailer wise, marketing wise, very focused on the team dynamic of kind of, all these people who just punch shit and have guns and, don't really have much else going on for them, but, we'll see what happens when they're together. I think this is definitely the most under the radar movie for Marvel. I think, Brave New World, obviously it's a Captain America movie. There's Red Hulk in it. We'll talk about it. The other big movie we'll talk about as the next trailer, quite literally, I think is very, very big in a different way of, it's a beloved characters, but a generally much maligned film franchise to date. This is kind of just like, no one has expectations for this of like, most people don't really care too much about these characters. Like, people like Yelena, people like Bucky, David Harbour is funny, but, like John Walker was an interesting character that we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Ghost was an interesting character in the one movie she's been in. Taskmaster was not. But, like, I don't know, like there's so little expectation or like, like, what is this? What is this going to be? So I'm kind of like optimistic that this will deliver.
Optimistic. Are you?
Because there aren't really high expectations or expectations at all, or or baked in, or in terms of like, oh, I know that we're going to get this big third act set piece, and I'm so excited to see that. Like, I don't know what any of this movie's going to be. I don't know what the real plot is, other than sticking these fuckers in a room and Julia Louis-Dreyfus is probably evil, and So I think there's a lot of potential here. The one thing that doesn't have potential unless they change the color grading is this is a very visually drab trailer, and that does not help. Like, it does not pop in any way. So I don't know. But I would really like this to be something, because I feel like, I don't know, the MCU's got to bring us some good stuff, like they got to deliver us some goods, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because we haven't talked about the first movie that the MCU has brought us this year. But, I think Thunderbolts has the potential to be better. It could be better.
And if it doesn't, I think that's okay.
You said low stakes. That's okay. It's low stakes. But
I really like the time of, this is going to, maybe I need to find a different way to rephrase what I'm going to say. But I liked when everything was getting released immediately to the streamers. You know what I mean? Just stream it. And it's less involved.
And you said,
because it
bring back COVID. It was a better time for everybody.
Well, the good news is measles is right around the corner. Bird flu. I mean, just give it a year or so.
Just
maybe not
wait,
even that long.
buddy.
It's not even that long. You'll be good to go.
Who knows?
Because
Scarlett Johansson is going to be suing over the release of Jurassic World Rebirth to streaming directly. So everything's going to come full circle. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Like, I don't inherently have a problem with watching movies. I like meh movies. You know what I mean? Turn them on, let them run. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Sure.
It's a different thing when it requires so much time and effort and planning. And then you go and see it, and it's just,
Yeah.
It's just
hopefully this is more than... Hopefully it's more than...
And that's why I want this to be something where it's just like the critics are like, oh shit, Marvel's back. Okay, cool. Or like, I didn't see this. Like, that's what I want this movie to be, is...
Like a Guardians of the Galaxy almost.
Like, this is so much fun.
Who are these?
I want this to be a Guardians type thing of, I don't give a fuck about any of these guys walking in, and I walk out as the biggest John Walker stan in existence. Like, that's what I want. Maybe not him. He's
maybe not John.
He's a questionable character. Yeah. But I want to be the biggest Ghost stan walking out the door.
Yeah, there you go. You're like, all of a sudden, like, Ghost.
Like, she's the hotness. She's cool. Taskmaster
Redeemed.
It still kind of sucks, but Taskmaster Redeemed. Yeah, let's do it. Come on. That's what I want. That's what I aspire to. Like I said, make a good thing. I mean, if they do that, then I'll be happy. And if they don't, then Andrew will be very pissed that he put in the time and money and had to spend time away from his
and you'll hear it here.
And we'll hear it here. We'll hear it here.
We'll commiserate together. But hopefully there will be no commiserating for the third MCU film that will be arriving in 2025, The Fantastic Four: First Steps. We have an official teaser for it. It's a short one, minute and a half. But July 25th, we're going to be getting it. And I think that maybe this at least has the most potential of all the MCU projects in 2025. I don't know if we can all co-sign on that, but I think that this is obviously, Fantastic Four.
Visually,
has been done dirty in film historically. This is Marvel's opportunity to get it right. And so maybe visually, as you're, starting to get to, I don't know, maybe this looks a little bit different than what we've seen with Fantastic Four in the past.
Visually,
maybe that's a good thing.
It looks the most original.
Sure.
I think we
kind
have
of this retro futuristic sort of thing going on.
Star-studded cast that appears to have a ton of chemistry.
Sure. They should look and act and feel like a family, and maybe they are.
I think they have an interesting setting. Right? Sure. Everything about what I'm given on this trailer draws...
That's not what you're getting from Thunderbolts.
No, not at all.
Gotcha.
Everything here draws me in. It's fresh. It's original. It sounds like it's written kind of witty in a way. You know what I mean? Just from what little bit we got. It looks like it's acted in a really organic kind of way. Like I said, the chemistry looks really good. It looks like it's going to be heartwarming too. And I just, the bar is set pretty high for this one. I'm expecting big things. And I think, I hope that this is the new bar to clear for Marvel stuff. Like, we're not going to clear your shit unless you're at this level or better. You know what I mean? We'll just wait. We'll wait 2 years for another Marvel movie, unless it's this tier. That's what I'm hoping for. Something that wants to draw people to the cinema to watch something big and grand. You know what I mean? Something fresh and original. So I'm really excited about this one. Big way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Henrique, are you pretty jazzed for this one as well?
Yeah. So I'll co-sign what Andrew said, and the fact that I'm so excited for this film also brings a little bit of, I guess, worry just as a fan of this. I think both. I think
if you have more hype, then there's more risk for disappointment, I guess.
Right. I have big expectations of this. I think this and Superman are going to be two of the most important films of next year, because if they don't succeed, then the superhero genre in Hollywood is in big trouble. Like, I think this is the third time we've seen Fantastic Four on the big screen. I'm going to go on a limb and say the first two were not successful.
Time, but they didn't put the 90s one in cinemas. They made it only to shelve it immediately. So
yeah. But this is like, people are like, Fantastic Four, I've already seen that. And you're like, it was that crappy movie back in the day. And then there was some Four Stick thing.
The good news is no one saw that one, so.
Yeah, so I think that helps. But also you're like, this is Marvel saying like, this is the new thing we can bring. And I think this could be fantastic. I've been wanting them to get away. Fantastic. I've been wanting for them to get away from like they call it Earth 616, although that doesn't really make sense.
It's like,
but the MCU, like the sacred timeline, whatever you want to call it, like, get creative. If we're gonna do multiverse, let's get a little weird. Let's have it in the 60s, but it's futuristic, and we got robots and things. Like, have some fun, make it a little bit different, and then the stakes don't even have to tie in until you bring them together. So you could really make. This could go in any number of ways, and they could lose, and their world could be eaten up by Galactus, but then they get transported to the sacred timeline or whatever. Like, so there's so many possibilities, and the trailers so far have all been like, this is definitely what I want to see. It's reassuring. Let's hope that the final product kind of delivers too. That's my take.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and they got to get this right. I mean, you have a lot of expectation here, but you're talking, once all those Fox franchises have, kind of been allowed back into the MCU, like, you've got to get the Fantastic Four right. It's never been done right on film. No. And so, like, there's a lot riding on this, because you really need this to work, because then theoretically this is probably probably your closest springboard to your Avengers movies. Doctor Doom is a Fantastic Four tied character, so maybe there's setup there. That we see in this movie, that if it doesn't work, then you're kind of deflating things. It's like, obviously they wanted Kang to be the big thing, but then the Kang hype kind of got deflated. Number one, from that stupid fucking post-credit scene with the Council of Kings, which is goofy as shit. And then obviously Jonathan Majors decided to just take a piss all over everything as well. But you got to get it right. And so that's it's hard. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I think that what we're being shown here is very promising. I'm very optimistic about it. I have faith in Kevin Feige to recognize, I've got to get this shit right, because they got to get this right. Once they kind of clear maybe post-Secret Wars, you got to get the X-Men right, you have the chance to do really, really fun, comic accurate, not afraid to be superhero-y versions of these beloved characters in the Fantastic Four. And this, even though I'm cautiously optimistic about Thunderbolts, visually, this is a massive upgrade from Thunderbolts. Just colorful, the production design is really interesting. It's not bland at all, You got fucking Galactus in there. Shit, man. There's so much cool here. I like the Thing design. I think it's the best live action Thing design we've seen.
It looks so good.
Looks like Human Torch.
Looks incredible.
Just even the costumes that they're all wearing, I think are really, really.
I love it.
Have this nice retro, just really, really.
It looks good,
inviting thing, and I just need them to get it right. It will bring so much joy to my heart if they get this right, and it will bring so much sadness to my heart.
Right.
Even if it's just okay.
Yeah.
If it's just mediocre. Agreed. Exactly.
We can't.
I need this. I need this to be a real return to form for Marvel.
Right.
And hopefully even more than that. I don't need it to be the best movie Marvel's ever made. I don't even need it to be the best Fantastic Four ever made, because I hope by default it becomes that. I need.
I kind of need it to be the best Fantastic Four.
If it at least needs to be that, but it needs to be more than just that. Is my point, because that's not saying much of anything at all. and I have to have my faith that even though they haven't exactly delivered hit after hit after hit for the past few years, that they've got to know the importance of getting this right. I think I like what I see so far. So I'm not in a place where the doubt has creeped in or is starting to creep in. So come July, I will be finding myself.
Let's do it.
Probably opening night watching the Fantastic Four. So, all right. And then that'll bring us to our last trailer. As I said, we'll bookend with Star Wars. Season 2 of Andor. We have a trailer for it. It is streaming April 22nd on Disney+. I know we definitely talked about this on the 2025 episode. Didn't have the trailer at the time. But to reiterate some of what we would have covered, it is another 12 episodes for groups of 3 episodes, 3 episode story arcs. So it's very much the same structure as the original. It will run through May 13th is when it will finish airing. So we're only a month plus removed from getting more Andor on our I was going to say our little screens, but in Andrew's, everyone's got a pretty big TV at this point. So
yeah, it's true.
So Andor's back. So I think that alone is obviously very exciting. The trailer is an interesting one, I think, for me, musically speaking. But,
that was kind of shit.
That was a weird one. There's a better trailer out there.
Yeah. So I have my personal thoughts about the actual trailer itself, but I will maintain this is a show that I don't need to fucking watch a trailer for, because I would be there day one regardless. So, but given that I did include it here, and you guys did watch the trailer, and maybe have watched some other things, and looking forward to season 2. How are we feeling? What's the temperature on Andor season 2? We feeling good? If you feeling ready?
It is a fever. It is
the only prescription.
It's just waiting to. The temperature is febrile. It's a fever. Oh man, I don't even care. Like the trailer was kind of weird, but whatever.
Like,
Still
who cares?
Gilroy coming back. I don't even care, man.
I mean, visually, there was nothing
show me the
wrong.
weirdest.
It was literally just
like
the revolution. You know, I'm like, okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Man.
If you just watch the trailer and muted, it's pretty fucking excellent.
Yeah.
It looks so great. Like, and this really showed like sets and everything. Like, I'm so on board. If this
costume design,
which I think it could even surpass season 1, which was already incredible.
Whoa!
This does this, then man, like, then thank you.
And we know this is it. You know, we're getting these 12 episodes.
Right, it's going to bleed right into Rogue One,
yeah,
right?
You want more, you watch Rogue One, and I think that's something really compelling about that idea of a finite story being told. You know, like we know where it ends up. We now know where it began. We're filling in the space in between season 1 and Rogue One now. And like, obviously there's a lot of story that can be told in that span of time, that will be told from that span of time. But you know, everyone's back from season 1 and spending a fuck ton of money, and it shows.
Let's do it.
Director Krennic, you know, just, I don't know, man. I'm very excited. I missed the boat on Andor initially. I think catch up maybe even later that year. I will not make the same mistake with Andor season 2. Let's put it that way. I think that probably is how we all feel, I would guess. But
incredible stuff.
Any other thoughts on Andor?
No, it looks like the best thing to kind of. It's the
more of the same in the best way possible.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what it looks like. So I'm pretty excited.
Very good, very good. Well, that's it for the trailers. That's it for the headlines. That's it for all that business. It's time to move on to our next order of business, which is talking about, well, it is the 35th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Jesus Christ, is it really?
Captain America, Brave New World. It is in theaters only, written by a lot of fucking people. Rob Edwards, Malcolm Spellman, Delon Musan, Julius Ona, and Peter Glanz. Directed by Julius Ona. Stars Anthony Mackie, Danny Ramirez, Shira Haas, Carl Lumbly, Zosha Rocamore, Giancarlo Esposito, Liv Tyler, Tim Blake Nelson, and Harrison Ford. I have the wrong synopsis on the script. That is for Agatha all along.
I was like, what?
I saw that. I was like, whoa, did we watch the same movie?
This is a weird timey-wimey one.
Whoops, I guess I was in a rush. Let's see. Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident and must discover the motive behind a nefarious global plan. Does that sound more like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, loosely.
3 years after being trapped under a magical spell in the town of Westview, Captain America must escape with the help of a goth teen.
That actually sounds like a better
movie. Face the trials of the Witches Road. Definitely more interesting, that's for sure. All right, who's ready for a box office breakdown?
Break it down. Wah, wah, wah.
Box office breakdown. So, Captain America, Brave New World.
Yes.
It is the highest grossing MCU film of 2025.
Well, there you go.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
It has not done exceptionally well. It has done fine, I think, overall, is probably the fairest way to put it. So it had a pretty good streak of number one. Looks like, I think, 3 straight weekends. Its first weekend, it got $88 million, but it actually crossed $100 million for the full weekend because it opened over the President's Day weekend, so it had a holiday weekend that it played on. And as I talked about, it actually opened on Valentine's Day, which is not a holiday, but you know, maybe some people treated this as a date movie or whatever. And it had a pretty big drop, 68% in its second weekend. It's still good for number one, but obviously not the kind of drop that you want to see. Not quite as bad as Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think it's not as bad as the Marvels, which had a seismic fucking drop. But still not great. Still not great overall. And it's, so we're about, I guess we said about a month into its run. $177 million domestically, $194 internationally. So its worldwide total is about 371 mil as of right now, which is, pretty big drop off from the more recent Captain America movies. Like Civil War obviously made a lot of money, which is maybe unfair because it was kind of basically an Avengers movie. I think Winter Soldier did a bit better as well. And then I think this is like more in the ballpark of what the first Captain America, what the first Avenger did, which obviously it was a very, very different time for the MCU. So I think all in all, it's probably a disappointment overall, but maybe not a bomb at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's kind of somewhere in that middle. Deadline says it needs to earn about $425 million worldwide to break even.
Damn.
This is running off a budget of $180 million, which is actually relatively reasonable for Marvel movies, I would say, which is probably helping with that. And I think this will be lucky to top out around 400. So it'll probably be a slight loss for Marvel, Disney overall, but not bomb territory, but not really, I guess, in theory, justifying its own existence in terms of the.
They got to find a way to reduce their costs. $500 million per fucking almost $500 million.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think relative to other things, like this is actually a more modestly budgeted MCU movie. I'm not saying $180 million is a small amount of money, but we've seen 200, 250, that sort of range for some things where it's just kind of like, this is crazy, amounts of money. Then you're like, where's it going? And I don't know. I guess there's some wonky CG stuff in here, but I don't think there's any MODOKs or anything at the same time. So,
First Avenger only made 370 mil, which obviously is a long time ago, but I think for perspective.
Yeah, and like for first movie pre-Avengers, and then everything kind of was able to ride the wave after, like Winter Soldier and Civil War. Like obviously it made sense that those movies kept making more money. So this is a little bit of a step back, and obviously it is a reset. This is a new Captain America. It is Sam Wilson, as the new Captain America, following, I guess, really technically following not only Avengers Endgame, but also the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus series. It's kind of a weird place to be, where it's like, well, is that required viewing? No. The answer is no. But it's kind of, it's a bit of a new iteration, a new era for Captain America as a character. So while it's not the most, thrilling box office debut, shall we say, it could have been a lot worse. So that's what we got on the box office front. Now we got to talk about what we have on the non-spoilers front. So who wants to kick it off here? Maybe should we start with just our experiences? Technically, Henrique and I did watch this
we saw
movie
it together
a good while ago. We saw it in Dolby on opening night. I think we had a pretty, as I recall, a pretty respectful, theater going experience, which is sometimes a rarity.
Yeah, you guys have wild theater experiences up there.
Yeah, there's a general lack of etiquette, and I think we actually went properly in Philly too. I tend to see most movies in Jersey, but I feel like, you see something in the city, and you never know who's going to show up and decide that it's the living room of their house, and bust out the corn on the cob, whatever else.
Are the auditoriums generally bigger in the city?
Not necessarily, no.
No, they're the same. I mean, the Dolby is probably bigger than, the other auditoriums in there, but it's no.
Do you have more auditoriums in your theaters up there? Like, I mean, I know Starlight, for example.
I think you have
hands.
No, I think you have fewer.
Pretty good, yeah. The dine-in's like 8, maybe?
Wow.
Yeah, it's like 8 screens usually.
You have more theaters
10 maybe.
there? I mean, you're servicing so many more people.
Not really.
Wow.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Not really. And I think that's maybe part of the problem is you got people from all walks of life, anywhere, just, coming off the street and just being like, I'll watch a fucking movie today. I think what's a little bit different about something like this is, maybe it's not making stupid amounts of money, but it did pretty well. It's its opening weekend, and a Marvel movie, most Marvel movies on opening night, literally opening night, the pre-sales will fill most of those seats. So people that actually want to see the movie are the people usually making those purchases and are not going to show up and, be a jackass the whole time typically. So that usually helps.
Yeah.
I say that, and then I'm now recalling that the first time I saw Dune Part 2 was with stupid fucking assholes, like 2 seats down. So it does happen even for people that, are buying opening night. But either way, it was a good experience. Andrew, how was yours? Did you see this in Dolby? No, you were a little bit late to the party.
Yeah, no,
right?
I was late to the party. I could have seen it. I could have
this.
seen it in Dolby, but it would have been a 9:00 showtime. I said, not for this movie.
Yeah. I'll say if you want to watch the first half of a movie, that's a great showtime. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I had pretty tempered expectations for this movie going in, and I did not. I didn't push myself to the pushing me to 9:00 to watch a movie is Oh, and then when I went to go see the movie, I saw the movie, and then there were 2 terrible accidents on 75, and I don't want to sound petty and bitching about traffic and stuff because 2 people had very bad days.
Right.
But what is normally a half hour.
They made you have a bad day as well?
Yeah, well, not nearly as bad, but I didn't. I had. It took me 2 hours to get from Starlight 20, to 54, the 54 exit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. So I mean, for people that don't know where that's at, it's probably normally a 10-minute drive, maybe 15-minute.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 2 hours, and then I got off at 54, and then I had to take Old Pasco all the way home. It took me. The movie was over at 10 o'clock because I got there. The movie was over at roughly 10. I got home at midnight.
So you would have been better off going to the 9 o'clock because theoretically those accidents might have been cleared.
That's true.
Your commute would have been better.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But then you would have slept during the second half of the movie and missed the big Red Hulk fight. So
that's also true. Yeah. So, anyways,
all right.
You guys can lead.
So, okay.
You guys have the longest recollection.
We have to do some soul searching to be like, what happened in this movie?
I can lead if you like. I've seen it recently.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let one of you two lead. I usually kick it to one of you two guys. So I'm happy to hear from either of you.
You want me to lead, Henrique?
Yeah, sure. No, I'll give you my thoughts. So I don't think we need to get
what do you got?
too into it, but I left the theater and I said, all right. It was fine. It's just, which is not the best place to be, I will admit. I'll just be like, okay, that was entertaining for the time. It had no surprises whatsoever. You teased to the movie being the trailers. That's 100% what this movie was. And I think that makes me a little sad that they had no faith in this movie. So, I think if you're the studio putting something out and you don't have any faith in it, and then you want us to do the work for you, I don't know if that's necessarily going to work. But I also don't think this is the worst movie I've ever seen by any stretch of the imagination. I think, there was nothing necessarily in this for me that was egregious. It just, I think, didn't do enough with what it could have. And you have a big budget, you have big name actors, you have Captain America, you have the Red Hulk, but it just doesn't fully come together in the end. And in maybe another year that would have been okay, but I think we're just not getting enough from Marvel to make me feel great about it. It makes me a little bit concerned overall that they couldn't really do it with this movie. And it was troubled, we kept hearing about reshoots and this and that, which were a little bit more than your average Marvel movie. So there was already a little bit of nervousness going into this. And, I think just being okay is all right, but we expect a little bit better than that.
And just to address the reshoot thing, that's going to tie into what I'm going to talk about in spoilers is what happened. Because that I think it's a good thing question to explore. Yeah, but that's a good question. Necessarily involves the actual specifics of the movie. So we'll wait to get into that particular conversation once we get into spoilers. But
yeah, so I don't know. Did y'all feel similarly different? Where you're at?
This movie, I left this movie. I love this movie saying, okay. It was about the same response.
There you go.
That was a movie. I
It was a movie.
And at that time, I would have been getting home at roughly 10:30, 11 o'clock. I ended up getting home at midnight, and I was like, by the time I got home, I'm like, God
did you
damn it.
retroactively like the movie less once you got home at midnight?
Absolutely. It's like, God damn it. What the fuck am I doing? I'm getting home at midnight for this shit?
You spent 2 hours stewing about it.
Yeah, and I don't know. And we talk about this. I feel like we talk about this frequently. Like, there is so much media to consume, and when I go out of my way and I pay and I go and do, when I go out of my way to consume it, and I had to like schedule the ticket and figure it out and this and that, for it to be blah, like just for it to be a paycheck to everyone involved. It actively just kind of irritates me a little bit. It's like, man, I could have just waited and saw this at home. You know what I mean? There was nothing that made me excited to see it in a bigger medium, bigger and louder. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything like groundbreaking. Narratively, it wasn't moving. Narratively, it wasn't challenging. It was just very blah. And I think this is older parent me being jaded, about like the lack of time that I have to spend on other things. You know what I mean? This is not something that I would have I didn't when I left the movie theater, I wasn't happy having spent my time with it because it didn't offer anything other than a paycheck movie for everybody involved. You know what I mean? And to be like, in its defense, I mean, you have Harrison Ford on like interviews saying, "Yeah, I showed up for a paycheck. They paid me lots of money to act like a red guy." It's like I shouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? And I'm not really surprised. I got what I expected. And I think it's probably important for me personally moving forward to recognize those signs. You know what I mean? Like, I know that this is something that isn't going to be noteworthy. This is a paycheck movie. You know what I mean? And then at the same time, if you have somebody like Florence Pugh saying this is pure cinema, maybe I should listen to that. You know what I mean?
Excuse me, absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. This movie did not move me in any particular way. I think that choreography was kind of cool in certain spaces, right? Like, I think the way that the Falcon moves is pretty cool. It's not enough. There wasn't normally I would say I just want some badass stuff. You know what I mean? Show me something fucking cool, or show me something really good. Now, I wouldn't expect this movie to be super good. At the very least, I could see some badass stuff. And I think the badass stuff was even like limited. And like the crux of the movie, and like the plot twist and the grand reveal and all that, it just, I don't know. It just landed flat. I think that's the best way to put it. It felt like narratively, it felt like everybody just showing up. Listen, it's been 2 years. We need to put something out. Let's put some names on it. Yeah, it just felt very unoriginal.
By the numbers.
But yeah, exactly. And that's the way it felt to me. Is that and am I that critical if I'm watching it at home and I'm cooking dinner while it's on? No, because I'm less invested. But when I'm invested, when it's literally like the 6 hour. Well, the 6 hours is an exaggeration. There was a circumstance that made it 6 hours, but it turned out for me, this one particular circumstance, it turned out to be a 6 hour venture to go watch this movie.
And it was not worth that time.
Nowhere near, right?
Yeah.
And then, so okay, let's be fair. Is it worth 4 hours?
Yeah.
No. Is it worth?
Is it worth the 118 minutes that it runs for? Literally.
Yeah. But like, I think you should be able to expect more from movies. Like, I think if you're just like, this movie would be fine if it was streaming on my iPhone while I cook dinner. Like, that's not a movie, man. That's some YouTube video. Like, that's not cinema.
That's not cinema.
It's not cinema.
That's not cinema.
You should expect more. I think you should continue to expect.
And I think if we stop expecting more, what are we doing? You know what I mean?
Then you'll keep getting Jurassic Worlds for the end.
Exactly. It brings us back to that Jurassic World, or whatever the fuck they're calling it now.
Jurassic World, Fast and Furious,
Reborn. Yeah,
Jurassic,
basically
Jurassic
most
universe.
of the MCU, like every other MCU entry. I think like it's gone from a pattern of like pretty much nonstop bangers. Obviously, you're gonna like some more than others. To like it really is back and forth. The pendulum kind of generally swings. I'm trying to figure out what fucking phase is this shit in. I'm already.
I think we're 5 still.
Is this 5 still? Yeah. Okay. So,
what is phase
but like,
5?
who cares? Because there's
that's
no
a good question. Like, what is
connectivity
it
between them, so it doesn't matter. I was just trying to figure out where so like Deadpool and Wolverine was last year. Not perfect, but pretty good. I think we
that was an entertaining movie. I left happy that I watched that movie.
And then now we've got Brave New World, and prior to Deadpool was The Marvels, which wasn't amazing. I mean, it was fine, I guess. Probably about the same tier as this movie for me. Not that I've given my thoughts, but preview of coming attractions. And then prior to that was Guardians Volume 3, fucking certified banger. Before that, Quantumania. I mean, like it really has been. Like and then I think before that, even if you want to go further back, I think it was Wakanda Forever, which it's not the first one, but like was pretty good,
so pretty solid.
So I mean, by this token, let's hope that this trend doesn't continue, because otherwise Thunderbolts will be good and Fantastic Four will be bad.
Oh no,
but not bad, but just fine, which as we've established is not what we want for that movie.
It's kind of bad. It's not good enough.
But yeah, it just I mean. I feel the same way. I mean, it's probably no secret at this point. It is just mediocre. Mediocre, as the Immortan Joe would say. And that's not enough. We kind of, you guys have made that point already, and I agree. It's not enough, and it sucks too, because I think that there's a lot of potential even within the story that they created for this movie, right? You've got Anthony Mackie taking on the Shield, going, squaring off against a fucking Hulk, who's I mean, I guess I'm like worried about dancing around spoilers, even though the trailer literally gave this whole movie away. That's another thing. We'll get to that. Like there's something in here, he's got a protege. He's going off against this, society, and there's, political thriller, like intrigue, and maybe there's another player who's controlling things from behind the scenes. Like, I don't know, all this kind of makes for like a pretty cool like idea, in theory, of a conspiracy thriller, and like all the pieces are kind of there, and I don't want to say that it's like the movie has the bones. Like, I think that they assembled the movie in the way that they could to at least make it coherent and mediocre. Like, I don't know that there's a better cut of this movie that exists, if that makes sense.
Sure, okay.
I think there's a better version of the original script, or at least the final version of the script as written by 17 different people, where it's just like, they did what they could, but probably what they started with had maybe the bones of a good idea, and they could never quite get it there. And so I think that there's a way that this story itself works, and it just doesn't. And I think ultimately what that does is it wastes Anthony Mackie, because I think he's great. I think he's really charming and fun in this role, and I think that it's the things that, like, seeing him, Captain America with a wingsuit, like, is fucking cool, because he's doing shit with his wings, and with the shield, and like there's really cool things that we're seeing from Sam Wilson that we never saw from Steve Rogers, because they fight very differently, they move very differently, they fly, and they have this whole naval combat sequence, which I thought was really cool. Like, one of the high points of the movie is kind of that sequence, and you've got interesting characters in here. You've got great actors in here. I like Danny Ramirez. I liked him, I liked the continuation of the characters from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, a show which I don't think any of us loved, was probably very similar in that it seemed like it like was close to being something like really interesting and saying a lot, but then just the way that it was told was not quite right. You know what I mean?
Like never did. Right.
Like it never quite lived up to the sum of what its parts seemed to be. But like Isaiah Bradley was a really interesting character and is in here, you know, and used in I think a relatively interesting way. But you know, but then there are things where it's like Giancarlo's in this. And he's kind of wasted.
Why?
You know?
Why?
Kind of not really doing anything in this movie. You know, Liv Tyler's in this, but like, is she? You know, and Harrison Ford's in this, and like, I think Harrison Ford's good in this, and like, it's a paycheck movie. He's a big red guy. You know, he gets to wear the fucking pajamas to be a red guy. But I think he was like good and interesting in this, and you know, I think that he at least. He didn't, to me, come across as just completely phoning it in terms of giving the performance. But
he didn't come across to me like a fucking Thunderbolt Ross either, though.
Well, you know,
and I know that it's written in such a way to where he's not supposed to be Thunderbolt.
It's the mustache. Like he's the president now.
Yeah, he's changed. Like maybe he's a changed guy.
Yeah, right. I agree, but it does feel a bit separated from the William Hurt.
It feels completely separate. Like he doesn't feel like
pretty different.
Might as well be a different character.
The William Hurt performance, yeah.
Except to say that, you know, he's related
he
to
felt like a nice grandpa. Like a real nice guy.
Yeah.
And he, you know, he's what was his slogan? It's been a while. Like together or something like that.
Together. Like that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, and that's kind of that's the point I was going to bring up too, is like, there are these ideas, but we're not saying anything. If anything, Falcon and Winter Soldier probably said more.
Totally. I 100%. This feels very like homogenized,
pulled back. Yeah, like we didn't give it, like we didn't have a real message. And I think with Sam Wilson as Captain America, there's a lot to say about that. And I think Falcon and Winter Soldier was not perfect, but like definitely got more into that. It's like
it was clunky, but at least had a point to it. And
right,
you know,
and it's about like
with John Walker's inclusion in it. You know,
yeah,
like,
no, that was actually a really
something.
Yeah, that was actually a really powerful message, I thought, of like, America's not going to accept this black man as Captain America. We're going to get this like very unstable soldier.
Yeah, we'll give it to the white guy.
Who's just going to go out and murder people.
What's the powerful message you got from this movie?
I didn't. That's the problem. I think they could have had one.
President can turn into a big red guy and everything's going to be okay. But you can spoilers.
That's the thing.
Spoilers.
I think it didn't say it. Maybe, it was just there.
Maybe if the president is a big red guy that does bad things, maybe you could hold them accountable for their actions. Maybe. Just maybe. That's an interesting idea.
Fiction.
That's why it's fiction, though. That's why this is a fictional movie, though. That's how they had to separate it as a fictional movie. There's a disclaimer in the credits, like this is totally fiction. That's why
it's not based on real events.
Any relation to real people,
South Park,
intentional or otherwise, is completely unintentional, or whatever the disclaimer is. It's just. There's something that could have been here that's not. And so the message, if there was a message at one point, is very muddled and non-existent, you know, and it just, you know, it's fine. It's not super long. It moves along, I think, at an okay clip, but it never, there's no depth to anything. There's no depth to these characters, whereas there was depth to these characters in prior iterations, prior shows, prior movies. And you know, and it's a weird thing of like, why is Sam Wilson's Captain America movie an Incredible Hulk sequel? You know, like
that made no sense. Like as an MCU fan, I like it, but
I like continuing that movie, which is the redheaded stepchild of the MCU. But like, it's just kind of weird, and like he kind of gets. He doesn't.
Sideline?
How does he not?
He gets a little sideline in his own movie. There's no arc for Captain America in this movie.
Right, because they already covered Captain America, so they didn't know where to take him.
And at the end, I'm Captain America, and it's like, it's because the show kind of covered the territory of like, I don't know if I should be Captain America, and by the end, he's like, oh, I feel comfortable. Steve gave me this shield for a reason, you know. I don't know. It kind of felt like, I guess if anything, it's just kind of the same arc. again, but like because people didn't watch that show, that are half the people watching this movie didn't watch that show. But I don't know. I think the biggest issue that I have is my last thing I'll say, non spoilers, is what one of the early things you said, Henrique, is this whole movie was told to you in marketing, and there are no surprises here.
That's
and
egregious.
I think and I think the problem especially with that is because this is played as a thriller. There's no twists, there's no turns, because them.
It's not a thriller? Is that really classified as a thriller?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess political thriller or like conspiracy thriller.
That's kind of what they're going for.
But I'm saying, it's like, what's going on with Ross? And it's like, oh, I don't know. I wonder if he's going to turn into a Red Hulk at the end. Like there's no stakes when you know exactly how it's going to all play out. I mean, I guess maybe the only question mark maybe I had going into the movie was, how the fuck is this non-superpowered man going to not get immediately murdered by a Hulk? So I guess we can answer that question in spoilers. But other than that, like this whole movie was told to you in marketing, and I think that's a failure of marketing of just showing too much. It's like, oh, you can blame me for watching the trailers, but it's like I didn't watch every TV spot and consume every piece of media. Like I watched the main trailers they put, like the first trailer they put out. Like, I'm pretty sure teased Red Hulk, and it does kind of reflect a lack of confidence in this movie, which is probably justified. Like, they looked at this movie and thought, we are going to make the most money if we show people exactly what's going to happen.
Because they're gonna watch the movie and realize there's not a whole lot left there. Because there isn't a whole lot. It's so thin.
I think they're going to get enough people up front that even though it's probably going to hurt them in the long run, like they will still be making more money with the big upfront ticket sales because people are excited for a big Captain America Red Hulk standoff. Whereas if something like the Red Hulk was the third act surprise, people may be less interested in the whole going back to the root idea of, well, are people going to show up for a Black Captain America movie? And I think the answer generally should be and could be yes, as long as the movie, the other parts of the movie
up for Black Panther,
were interesting. Correct, they did, absolutely.
Yeah,
and so the argument is like, well, as long as the marketing shows them what should be a compelling movie, even if it's not showing off Red Hulk, then the answer should be yes. I think the problem is if you take the Red Hulk out of the marketing, which I think they should do, you're left with the rest of the movie, which is not that compelling.
Nothing.
Which is nothing. So I understand why they did what they did, but because they did what they did, you are left with no new information to glean from this movie. And so when these characters are investigating things in the plot, like, I'm making a phone call, I got to track this and figure that out. I'm like, yeah, I know the answer. I don't even know the answer because the movie told me the answer. I know the answer because the marketing told me the answer before I watched the movie. And so when things are like a big surprise, it's like, no, they're not. Like, everyone fucking knows that. Like, everyone in this theater is just waiting for a thing to happen, and it takes 80% of the movie to get there. So
bullshit.
A little bit of bullshit. But, I guess maybe we're sounding a little bit harsh, but, you got to set the bar a little higher. I think that's kind of where we're coming off. It's like, give us something, man. It doesn't have to be perfection. It doesn't have to be the best Captain America movie. But it'd be great if it wasn't the worst, which I think it is. It's not the worst MCU movie, I don't think. And we're just going to get a recommendation at this point. I guess we have. I did the same thing. I have the Agatha TV scale, but I guess it's in theaters, watch at home, or wait till someone pays you to watch. That's kind of how we've divvied it up here.
I feel like Andrew has a certain view.
Well, I think Andrew has a
someone who drove 6 hours.
I guess
my investment was severe.
I'll be surprised if any of us say go watch this in theaters. Given how long it's taken us to cover it, it's probably indicative of that fact. But
right,
I mean, I don't know. Where do you guys feel? Recommendation? Do you think watch it at home, or is it? Did you drop it far enough that wait till someone pays you to watch it?
No, I don't think so. I think this is just like, you stream this, you don't need to rush out. I was looking back at like DCU movies, which the box office is wild for that. It's just something I hadn't realized. But this is like, it falls somewhere above those, the majority of those. Like, it's fine. You're not going to waste your time, but you don't have to go out of your way for it.
I agree. I would have been I'd have been a lot happier if I just would have watched this at
Disney
home.
Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Disney Plus. Wait till the baby goes to sleep.
Disney Plus.
I'll go to bed at midnight. I'll have a couple beers or a bottle of wine and just sit here and watch this thing. And it's kind of schlocky and it's not a whole lot. You know, it doesn't offer anything mind-bending or thought-evoking. But it's fun.
Does it make your mind grow and your brain pop out?
Or turn me into a...
So what's the probability of that happening?
What the fuck is that thing called? Anyways, I digress. Yeah. Anyways, I would have been a lot happier if I watched this at home.
This is a watch at home movie. I mean, probably a classic example of it, really. I mean, watch this on Disney Plus. You know, like if you haven't seen it already, you have no reason to go to a theater. Like there's clearly has not been an incentive to this point. It's not bad. It's really not bad. I know, and I think it's gotten pretty lackluster reviews, and I don't think that's obviously unjustified.
Yeah,
but it's not the worst of the MCU. It's probably lower tier overall, just because it just doesn't really feel like it's aspiring to be much of anything at all, and that's what's really tough. Is like something that should be and it could be, but it just doesn't seem to have the aspiration to really do much of anything. I mean, I don't know. It's probably about the same quality as Falcon and the Winter Soldier is, but I go back to the point of, although, I mean, like trade-off, like Falcon and Winter Soldier is a lot longer overall, but at least it had a point. This is a lot shorter, but it kind of doesn't really have a point. But I guess, you know, like, I don't know. I don't know. There's just...
Yeah.
Watch it at home, you know.
It's like a hotel movie.
Yeah,
it's a hotel movie. It's an airplane movie. It's a Disney Plus movie while you're cooking. I mean, you know, you could lock in on Disney Plus if you wanted to. But you don't need to pay money beyond what you're already, you know, paying for Disney Plus. You get it in addition to whatever else you're watching on there. You're watching a Daredevil. You're watching an Agatha. Like, fine, you know, this is just a bonus. Think of it as a bonus that goes up on there, and you watch it, and it's relatively inessential. It's probably not overall that essential for the MCU, even moving forward. But it's a thing. So, and you can check it off the list and say, I saw it, and it was fine. I mean, for me, this is like a totally fine movie. It's a totally fine movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, maybe verging slightly into fine territory.
Yeah, this is fine by me.
But it's like... Fine. I don't even know that there's a moment in this where I'm like, all right, that was fucking awesome. I don't even know that there's like a moment in this where it's like, if the rest of the movie was like this would be holy shit. Like, it's like nothing in it is that wow worthy. Yeah. And obviously I'm like looking back on it after a month, so I really have had the benefit of time to reflect. I've only seen it the once. I'll watch it again, and you know what? I won't watch it again until it's on streaming. So, you know.
Yeah. I have a few positive like moments of it that we can probably touch on in spoilers. So.
Yeah, I mean, there are things I liked about it, but nothing. Yeah,
not a wow.
Nothing mind blowing. Yeah. Holy shit! Wow.
Sure.
Like you know, and then there's really nothing in it. On the other hand, where I'm like, oh, this is dog shit. Like I mean, there's probably things that are closer to that, but I didn't think there was anything in it that was like so bad that I was like, get me the fuck out of this theater right now. So. Anyway, let's go into some spoilers. Let's do full spoilers for Captain America: Brave New World. Let's mark that clearly. We could talk about some moments. I'll get into my kind of behind the scenes stuff now, but I want to open the full, you know, the discussion up more generally for spoilers now. Like, what about this? Did you really, you know, dig or not dig? I guess let's go with that.
Okay. I maybe want to focus on the positives first, since we've been
largely negative, I think, overall.
Yeah, so I've always liked the Isaiah Bradley character. I liked him in the show.
Yeah.
Liked him in the comics, and I like him a lot here. I think I'm blanking on the actor's name, but I really like the performance that he brings.
Carl Lumbly,
that's right. I really liked him in this, and I wish they would have utilized him more. Mm-hmm. Because I think you can tell a really interesting story. And they kind of started to in Falcon Winter Soldier, and I thought they could have finished it here. But just the first Captain America, before Steve Rogers that just really had a whole different role. And I think you could tie in a lot of the history, a lot of real world history, a lot of like comic book history. And they try to get there, but then it kind of left him in the first act and he doesn't come back till the end. Mm-hmm. So I, for the parts that he was in, I really enjoyed him.
Right. And then he gets sidelined and, spends
and then
most of the
just
movie
not much of
in
him.
prison. So, yeah.
Right. So, but I like Bucky in his cameo appearance.
I'll agree with that. I thought the Bucky cameo was well done. I think like a good scene, good moment. One of the few, I guess, examples in this where it felt like
that's what I was thinking.
There was actually writing that was like done and like good performances deliver like good.
There was the
those two have so much chemistry. Like you could just let Mackie
in the show.
Sebastian Stan just riff, and maybe they literally did for that scene.
Yeah.
But that's one of the few genuine like character moments that really worked in this movie, I thought.
Yeah, I think we saw that a lot in the show, and that's what one of the strengths of it was. And you get to see that here, and it gave you some payoff, even if not from a narrative standpoint, of just like, hey, you watched a season of these two characters together. Here is their continuation of their relationship, and it was small, but I like that it continued to build on that.
Yeah, agreed with that.
And there's some generally okay action, like there's some decent enough fight scenes, but it's not one that I'm gonna write home about necessarily.
Right. I don't think any of them were standouts. I mean, I liked this whole thing of finally tying in the Eternal stuff with Tiamat, the Celestial in the ocean. Like,
that was a big
cool
plot
set
point.
piece, and then like the way it was integrated as a plot point. But then at the same time, it's like adamantium, and it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of there. Like it's there, and maybe it's
very
just more
MacGuffin-y.
Set up for obviously future things. But it doesn't really turn into anything that consequential, I guess, overall either. Like it's like, what if we did adamantium? And it's like, yeah, that's really cool.
You could have replaced it with like gold or some other precious resource in the same movie.
Right. It's just a comic book name that's thrown on there for the sake of comic book fans pointing at the screen and doing the Leo meme, So
yeah.
Anything else positive? Cherry blossoms?
No, I mean,
super real.
Cherry blossoms are not positive, man. That was some rough CGI.
Yeah, I thought
that was
CG,
not a positive.
I can't think of any CG that looked good in this movie. I thought it all.
I think the Red Hulk looked pretty decent.
Good.
I think the Red Hulk looked decent.
Yeah, I agree with. I thought the Red Hulk looked pretty good. The third act set pieces in general just looked real bad, real green screeny. The part where he's like talking Ross down, just the way that it's framed.
The background
all
looks
rough. Like shit. Just rough.
Look real bad.
Yeah, just like really like almost bad compositing work or something going on there that looked pretty fucked. I mean, some of the stuff, like every time I see the helmets fucking nanomaterial, materializing and dissipating, I think that all looks like shit.
I don't like that either.
Because it's just so fake looking. Like I guess I don't know what a nanotech helmet materializing and dematerializing would actually look like, but I assume it would look not like a bad computer effect. It looks hokey, and it's looked hokey since Iron Man has done it.
That's fair. Right.
Like it's always looked kind of hokey. Like I miss the practicality with the Iron Man suits. I miss the practicality, here, and like when he's not wearing the helmet, I think like the cap suit looks good, and the wings look good and stuff. So
yeah. Any positives on your end, Andrew?
No, not a whole lot. No, I just really felt like this movie was like a big waste of time. I didn't really get a lot from it. Not to sound like overly negative or anything, but I just I sat there and I watched the movie, and like Colton said, I never felt like anything was like you could tell what moments were supposed to be. Oh, that's badass. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. It was all right. But then, like, it just never amounted to anything. It was just, I don't know, just kind of. It's by far not the worst movie I've ever seen, but at the same time, it was just, it was
just kind of nothing.
It was just kind of nothing. Yeah, I mean,
all right. So
like you say, the dogfighting scene, dogfighting scene where the partner, I can't even remember his name.
Falcon.
But to be fair, I don't remember
he's the new
anybody's
Falcon.
name.
You just call him Falcon, and you're technically
he's the new
correct.
Falcon.
Yeah, so he doesn't pull off or whatever, and he ends up getting hurt. That was supposed to be a big moment, but I didn't give a shit. And, but that was supposed to be a cool deal, right?
Yeah, especially because he lost his previous partner, in a similar kind of event.
Yeah, I don't know. It rang flat for me.
I agree with you. I mean, the most impactful thing that came out of that was the Bucky and Sam sequence, exactly. Which is not really what, obviously that makes sense for how you're supposed to read into how Sam is feeling in that moment, but like you as an audience member should maybe be affected by really your second build character possibly getting injured and sidelined for the rest of the movie and maybe being paralyzed. Like we saw Rhodey get paralyzed in Civil War, and I feel like that was like a holy shit moment. Like the stakes just got real for this, fun airport battle. Whereas here it was like,
okay, that sucks.
Yeah, just because
pulled up.
Narratively it didn't have the emotional sort of impact.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of pumped to have Blake Nelson reprise his role.
Yeah.
Tim Blake Nelson, yeah. Was that? That's another almost 20 years.
Yeah, right? That's a big deal. He's come back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You didn't buy it?
No, I didn't buy it at all. Like,
you didn't buy it. No.
I don't understand how everybody reacts the same way to like the blinking lights on their phone or the music or whatever. I don't understand like the way that works. It felt kind of hokey. But let's not look too deep into it.
I don't know.
Sure.
Same sort of Winter Soldier brainwashing thing, I guess. Just on a whatever comic book. It's comic book.
Whatever.
You can throw it out the window,
right.
Let me shelve it. But when homie comes out looking like a fucking zombie, looks like he's deteriorated from the gamma, and then he appears on like he's wearing a hoodie and he appears on a soldier base at the end of the movie, and I don't know. I didn't buy his entire character at all.
Didn't buy it.
No, I did not enjoy that. I didn't think that was very good. I think that was well done.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just he wasn't menacing, and it's just like he's supposed to be the smartest. And I think there was some interesting things there of like, oh, he's been poisoning / slipping some gamma into President Ross this whole time.
That's okay. That seems interesting.
Right, but you can't have the twist that's already revealed.
Right. And that could be interesting if you didn't know that the fucking president was going to turn into a goddamn Red Hulk.
You already know. It's like, what are these little pills that he's having? I don't know.
That's kind of the point I was making is like, oh, that's something like his whole big plan is fucking exposing Ross for being the shitbag that he is and doing it by turning him into the very thing that he spent his whole fucking military career
it's no surprise.
Down.
Yeah. Right.
But when you know that it's all building to that, not only comic book fans are going to know that Ross is going to be the Red Hulk, but like general basic movie fan is not going to necessarily know that, but they'll know it because they saw it in the trailer. It loses all impact for the leader's role in this movie to be like, well, look what I fucking did. And it's like, yeah, we know. Yeah.
And then I stayed an extra like 20 minutes.
Have you even thought about the multiverse and all the probabilities and all the people and all all the things in it? Man,
the post credits,
crazy, dude.
It's gonna be crazy, bro.
That was pretty bad. I'm not gonna.
That very much felt like
I think I texted
we don't
you guys.
we don't have anything here. Just do some very generic, vague thing about the multiverse.
Big.
I could have taken so many other things.
We've been burned by going too far, as in with the Kang stuff, that we don't want to commit to anything just yet because we still don't actually know what Avengers Doomsday is.
Yeah, whatever, man. You think Harry Styles is coming back to MCU? No way. This dude's out here running marathons and shit.
Well, the whole movie's also like, I'm gonna I gotta reform the Avengers, and it's like, I don't know. You could have some sort of payoff of like, who's going to be on that team?
Right.
Give me fucking Shang-Chi. Where the fuck's he been,
Where's Shang-Chi?
Sam's going to hit him up, or he's going to hit Ant-Man up. He's just going to, I don't know.
Anything could have been better than what we got, But then, not only has the entire movie been running on fucking fumes, right? Mm-hmm. But then I stay an extra 20 minutes or whatever, 15 minutes. It feels like fucking, a lot. It's probably a lot longer than what it is. But I'm sitting there, and then I get that shit, and it's like, fuck this movie, I'm done. Get me the fuck out of here. And then it takes me 2 hours to get home. Fuck you. I'm getting home. I'm actively mad. Oh,
Oh man.
So
writing a sternly worded letter to Kevin Feige.
Come on, dude. Just do better. Don't be like I tell everybody at work. Don't be sorry. Just do better. Okay, just do better.
It's not
Take
so
a little
hard.
bit more time and just do better.
Yeah. That's all we want.
That's
all we want. All right. So before I launch into behind the scenes stuff, let me ask you again.
Christ,
Any other spoiler thoughts? Well, I think this will help us work through things. This will obviously probably open up some conversations.
I'm
as well,
curious. I'm curious to hear this, but I don't want to be an additional writer to this, but I could see ways that you make this script better. So I want to kind of hear what went wrong. Like what were these steps? Like what happened?
And so here's what I'll say, I guess, to kind of address that up front is I'm not sure that what went wrong as a result of reshoots. I really do think the reshoots were probably patching things together to make what was probably something worse into something mediocre, and I think that to really have taken this to a point of it being actively good would have required a lot more of a heavy lift of probably scrapping much more than trying to just fix what you'd already committed to and shot, just kind of saw it with the Daredevil Born Again, where they've repurposed a lot of what was shot, reconfigured it, and we'll talk about it obviously when we theoretically do an episode on it whenever that show finishes up. But this, I think, is kind of the same story of let's make it work well enough, even if it's not going to be great. So things that were changed. There's 22 days of reshoots, June 2024. They brought in Giancarlo Esposito. We knew that to play this mercenary character who is the leader of the Serpent Society, which I think is just called Serpent in the final movie. So there was originally a different incarnation of the Serpent Society that would have opened the movie. So in the final product, he fights Giancarlo, he fights this big fucker, and that's kind of it, like a knife fight or whatever. So originally there
was he part serpent at least?
So the original Serpent Society was going to be a lot more tech heavy, using serpent tech powers kind of thing, where it was very way more comic booky, it would seem.
Okay.
And then they kind of scaled it back to what we saw, where it was just seemed like a
dudes with guns.
Paramilitary organization of some sort. Serpent's an acronym like SHIELD or some shit probably. Where it's just your code names are snake inspired. No one here is pretending to be a fucking snake with snake powers and shit.
No, man, be a snake. A snake.
So they weren't originally going to be. They were going to be closer to kind of crazy out there. And I think maybe the idea of why they went away from that is it felt a bit too silly. It felt too comic booky and too at odds with the tone of the rest of the movie, which is Winter Soldier-y without kind of being quite there. So yeah, there would have been more members: Diamondback, Constrictor, Rattler, Asp, and Cobra. Rosa Salazar and Seth Rollins, the wrestler Seth Rollins, were actually cast. They were spotted on set. Couple different points, but yeah. And the original fight would have included apparently Isaiah Bradley suiting up in his own cap suit to fight alongside Sam.
Ooh,
that would have been kind of cool.
That at least sounds interesting.
And so I think that would have led to why he was originally invited to the White House by Ross, not just because he was a guest, if that makes sense. So that's how they kind of reconfigured that. The leader. The leader visually, I think basically every scene that we saw of the leader and the final product was all reshoots. There was an original design which was closer to the comics with big green guy with a big forehead.
Big
there's
brain.
concept and promo art of that out there. As far as his actual role, I don't know how clear it is whether that really changed a whole lot. But what we do know is that originally adamantium was supposed to be used in the third act, and basically Sam would have been using the adamantium and would have actually killed Ross in the end, and they changed all that so that Ross survives to live to fight another day. Yeah, so that's one of the things. And I think two things. So there's an Israeli Black Widow in this movie. Feels kind of like a weird inclusion. Like her role has been kind of cut around a little bit. She originally was supposed to have mutant powers because I think her character is a mutant in the comics, and that was axed entirely. There's like one scene where she has like a superhero suit on for some reason, and it's kind of goofy.
Who are we talking about here?
Yeah.
This is the
little lady,
the very little lady.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Comically short and like take you out of the movie short, and I don't mean to be rude, indignant.
I I don't want to sound any particular way, but
it was comical, and I mean,
who the fuck is this? I don't know.
I felt very much the same way of like, okay, if she had mutant powers, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. I know she's a Black Widow, and Black Widows are badass.
Sure.
They would kick my ass, no questions asked. But it was pretty hard to buy. But anyway, the last big addition, or removal, I guess is really more accurate, from the final product is one major character that would have been, I think, a bit of a tease for this character having a bigger role in the future. A character by the name of Amadeus Cho was apparently going to be in this originally. Was going to be played by Podcast from the Ghostbusters movies, the recent ones, Logan Kim. And originally, it sounds like the original post-credits scene involving the leader would have teased Amadeus Cho getting some gamma irradiated blood, which would tease him becoming a little bit of a Hulk himself, which is obviously something that's happened in the comics. So that character was cut. I'm not sure why. One of the like, this is one of those things, like there was a full like test screening of this movie that was done months before it came out. Someone wrote up a very detailed description, and it is like 100% accurate to what we got in the final product, but there's other things in it that clearly were cut for the final product, and that was one. And like their remarks were like, yeah, he's really bad, which that's one person's opinion on this. And like, so maybe test screenings generally were like, this character fucking sucks. But that's conjecture. So either way, character was axed, not in the final product. And, I guess in theory, if it was a bad version of Amadeus Cho,
right,
maybe a good thing to cut. What we talked about with the Nova stuff, like, hey, if you're going to do these things for these characters that aren't going to get 17 different adaptations, over time, don't fuck it up, So those are kind of the big, behind the scenes things that got shuffled around. There's probably a lot more. There's probably other things that happened behind the scenes that, ultimately led to this final product. But I really do get the sense that, like, they gave us the best thing that they had made, which is to say that before they actually started making it, they needed to spend a little bit more time figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like they gave us the Frankenstein version of it that was like, fine.
You can tell.
Worse,
you can
but
certainly tell.
It definitely feels just empty and just kind of hollow and just not. It just doesn't really have a solid pulse, of like what it's actually trying to do as a movie, narratively, story wise, thematically. It just feels very kind of nothing, which is not what you want out of a movie. So yeah, that's I guess that's Captain America: Brave New World. What a brave new world we live in of, mediocre MCU films, I guess. Other bad things happening.
I guess.
Other bad things happening.
I guess.
It's reflective of 2025 and the world we live in now. I guess this is what we get.
I suppose. I don't know, because this movie didn't say much. It was I don't know. It's just there.
It's just there.
There. It's a movie.
All right. Any other thoughts on that?
No, that's about it for me. I don't know what else there is.
Well, I'm not going to force you to do anything else. But I will say, on the listeners' corner front, which we haven't had a good chance to do a proper listeners' corner, I have a couple things to say. Well, the first thing I'll say is thank you, Henrique, for sending in your contribution to us on our 2024 year in review, part 2 episode. It was interesting to hear your insights. I think your your tops of the year. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to our.
Yeah, actually, I did listen to this the other day.
I wasn't sure.
It actually has some good overlap.
A lot of overlap. I think Civil War is probably where we disagreed the most, which is fair. I think we kind of talked about that a little bit already. So, but a lot of overlap. Challengers, Nosferatu, Dune Part 2, good stuff.
Yeah, those are 3 great.
And a good shout out to Hugh Jackman for the hashtag Games Award.
I have things that I should have watched before doing that.
So you want me to pull it off the feed and we'll re-record the whole episode? Is that what you want?
Yeah, I can't do that. But what I can say is I think Flow definitely deserves a slot somewhere.
Oh, I've been wanting to watch that.
Okay.
So I have watched Flow.
Good things about Flow.
I think I've watched some other things too. I can't quite remember all of them, but I do know that I watched Flow, and I think Flow was exceptional. I think everybody should watch Flow.
All right. Well, I don't have that on.
Okay, I do want to check it out.
I do want to check that out as well because I think it's streaming now. Right? Was it Max?
It's streaming. It has no real dialogue. It's an interesting movie. It's not a movie for everybody. So I think I probably stand behind my current selections. However, I think
Flow is worthy of recognition.
It is
at the same time.
Pure cinema.
Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. It is absolute.
Well, which one's a
Absolute
higher,
cinema.
pure or absolute? Like, what do we think is better?
I think Absolute is the highest.
All right,
Absolute's
so
higher than pure.
So you tell us if it's pure or absolute based on that scale. Then
I would say it's absolute cinema. I think it's absolute cinema. I don't think
absolute cinema.
I think it is for the both of you. However, it is not for everyone.
I like cats.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I think it's.
I like cats. I like animation.
Good visual storytelling. Good animation. Good. I think it's. I think the if you read about it, I think it's really cool. Like the way that it was made, I think is interesting. I think where it came from is interesting. I think the. I think that the themes are very interesting. I think it's a really good heady thing to watch.
Okay.
So
I do want to watch it. It's definitely on my list.
Have a couple beers and take a watch, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, noted.
Oh, all
Duly
right.
noted.
Yeah, no, I will.
Yeah. Other quick entries for the listeners' corner, and then we'll move on to catching up. From Bruce Brown, he says second season of Night Agent on Netflix, very good, far-fetched, stretched a bit into ridiculous, but we still liked it. Gladiator 2, entertaining, but thin on any real substance. Cheap remake at best, but watchable.
Big doo-doo. Big doo-doo.
Goliath with Billy Bob. Amazon Prime, very good, really enjoyed it. Can't go wrong with Billy Bob. And then finally, maybe one of the more controversial takes that we're going to see on the listener's corner.
Ooh,
and I don't say that facetiously.
I like those.
Yeah.
Joker 2.
Fudafafa.
Fudafafa. Quite enjoyable, surprisingly. Love Gaga.
Oh.
She is an amazing talent who lifts up any production. It was interesting, but not very Batman-esque, which, the first one wasn't either. So there you go. Someone like Joker Fudafafa. We found one.
Okay.
We found one.
I might have to watch
it, so I can't say.
I mean, the things I read about it made me think I would like it more than the first one, which is to say I probably still wouldn't like it, but I would like that it seems to be just made for the purpose of pissing off everyone that liked the first movie. So, I kind of respect that. I mean, terrible idea if you're trying to make money.
I might watch Fudafafa sometime soon.
Fudafafa.
Check it out. I'll let you watch it. And
that sounds like an airplane movie right there.
Fudafafa.
That's like Sony, Marvel quality type things.
Yeah, I might watch Fudafafa, Venom 3,
Carnage.
Morbius. Oh no, you've already seen Morbius. Craven.
I've already seen Morbius. Craven.
Lab.
Yeah, then I'll watch Craven.
Yeah, you got to watch all the the big three from 2024. Good stuff.
They're gonna run out of alcohol on that plane. And I'm done with it. After those 3.
That's right. It's got to be a long flight too.
Just to survive.
Because you can't just watch them straight. You got to pause every 15 minutes. I don't know if I can do it. I need another. Yeah, give me another one. All right. Well, that's it for the listeners' corner. So, Andrew, we already heard from you a little bit about Flow. Do you have any other things you want to talk about before we kick it over to Henrique, or do you want to brainstorm? Well, you don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot. You just felt like you had something, so I thought maybe you had some other things.
Henrique, you kick it off first.
All right.
All right.
I'll dwell for a little bit.
Get you some time. Yeah. Get the gears turning. So I was trying to think back. Probably Agatha was the last time I was catching up with you all, at least on the podcast.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
I don't need to go through all the things, but I could certainly talk about some trips and places I'd recommend, because it was my first time like spending a meaningful amount of time in Texas. Like we had that layover in Houston. I want to say before we went to Europe, right? Like back in
right.
Like,
but yeah,
college.
like half a day maybe. I think first.
Yeah, so that was a little while back. So I got to spend time in Texas, and it was a fun time. We went to San Antonio. We drove all the way out to Big Bend, which is in the west side of Texas and has one of the darkest skies in the U.S.
Ooh.
At least in like the contiguous U.S. So get some great view of the stars. And it's just a very underrated park, not busy, definitely a lot less packed than Zion. You can kind of go wherever, do some hikes, ride some horses,
no one
canoe,
works there now.
And they probably have like one employee, for the entire like 50-mile park. But everything certainly seems bigger in Texas, because man, we drove 7 hours from San Antonio. It's
a long state to drive through. having done that drive like east to west. It's barren for a long way of that stretch.
But the park is very cool. It's like 50 miles to get anywhere around there, and there's a gas station every like 30 miles maybe. But super cool park, super cool place. I really enjoyed our time there, and San Antonio was cool. We spent very, very brief time in Austin just to see some friends, but we'll try to go back.
Did you get some ribs? Some barbecue?
Yeah, did you do any Texas
barbecue? I got barbecue. I didn't get ribs, so I was really debating. We went to this place in San Antonio that was rated, highly, and people talked about. I got brisket, so I went in for the brisket
to me.
And it was
Texas barbecue brisket.
Yeah, I kind of like I'm here, like I like barbecue. I'm not gonna do it for like every meal. It's just such a heavy thing. That like I had barbecue, and that was like the barbecue that I had. Really good Tex-Mex, obviously, and then Mexican food too. Like we had stuff on the board. We grabbed some burritos, grabbed some tacos from here and there. So always gotta love that. So it was a fun place. I know you have some ties to Texas, Colton, but quite enjoyable. Was recently down in Florida. Got to see Andrew and the baby.
Yeah.
No Sarah, but I saw baby B.
Yeah, he was wild that night. Yeah. He was crazy. All over the place, little baby.
And he was watching some Nemo. He was running around eating some things. Theo was eating the carrots he dropped. But it was a fun time spending some time with you. Actually went to our friend Alex Coy's wedding. Congrats to him. He got married, and that was fun. I saw David Clark, old high school classmate there. He's doing well. He's actually up in Pennsylvania, which I didn't realize. I know he was at USF, but he's doing some rotations up in Allentown. So,
what's he doing?
Just come by. He's finishing up medical school and gonna go into residency soon. So,
wow, good for him.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing him again. It was nice catching up. But always good to be back in town, catching up with you all.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime,
yes,
watch some things. Some things I would like to recommend. The first one, we already got Andrew. Hopefully you're hooked on this like we are. But we watched this anime show called Dandadan.
We did watch some Dandadan. Shit is wild. Yeah.
Well, what were your thoughts originally? Because we watched like 4 episodes at least or so. Like, we watched a couple.
Yeah, that shit is wild. That's my It's I think it's got some cool tropes. It deals with some cool things.
Yeah.
I think it's provocative. I think it's fun. It's anime that I actually have never seen before. I've never seen.
That's what I like. It's very different. So it's on Netflix now. So I would recommend. I think you would enjoy this, Colton.
Okay.
I think generally, if you're like even semi into anime, you might enjoy it. Even if you're not necessarily into anime, it's might be something that you enjoy. There's a lot of nice mixes of genres. Like there's a little bit of horror. There's some sci-fi. There's some romance. There's just like a
lot of humor. It's a lot of
kind of wackiness. There's good humor, And I think it's animated pretty well. Like there's a couple of fight scenes and actions and things that are really nice.
It's very stylish.
But overall, it's just a good story. I got hooked enough that I'm reading the manga now, just because I don't think season 2 is going to come out for a while. And it's good stuff, man. I really, it's gotten more popular. One of the big things that drove it too is the opening. It's got a really catchy opening song.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this band, it's a Japanese duo called Creepy Nuts. That's their artist name.
That fits for Dandadan.
And it's like a DJ and an MC, and they're really cool. Like I've been listening to their music, really great stuff. They do some other openings to animes, but just really good. It fits the wackiness of the anime certainly. So this is one too. Like there's some weird stuff in there, but you could certainly watch this and you're not going to get that many looks. Like there's a lot of talks about balls and testicles, and they're missing at certain points.
It's not the chef not one or whatever.
Yeah, it's not a Food Wars where it's just like, what the fuck am I watching on screen? It's just more the jokes that like there's certainly like a TVMA kind of situation, but it's still enjoyable for you're not gonna get. It's not gonna be like that weird necessarily. It's weird. Okay. It's very weird, but I think I can still recommend this to people.
Okay.
Another anime I would recommend that's not quite as weird, but I think quite nice is called Zenshu. Zenshu. It's the whole premise is this what's the genre? Oh my god. It basically like you die or like see something, you get transported into another world. And so this woman is an animator. She's like created this like Sailor Moon type amazing movie, and she dies and ends up in a fictional world of a movie that she's really into. And it's like magical and stuff, and she knows the plot, and she learns that her superpower is animation. So she does this like whole Sailor Moon transformation, and she starts drawing, and she's just fucking drawing and writing and drawing, and then she creates like things out of her drawings into magic. It's pretty fun. I've enjoyed it. I don't think the full season is out yet. We were watching like a week to week kind of situation, but that one's pretty cool. Definitely more.
That's on the Crunchyroll.
Yeah, that one we watched on Crunchyroll. But Dandadan's on the Netflix, so very accessible. I think it's been on like an animation binge. Mm-hmm. Have you all seen the new Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? Any of that yet?
I watched a couple episodes of that.
I watched half of the first season, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I just started that a couple days ago. I'm like 5 episodes in. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know about you all. Well, I'm really, really digging it. I like the different takes.
I thought narratively, I thought it was on the nose about certain things, especially in like the first couple of episodes. It just felt, I don't know.
The Norman Osborn.
Yeah, it just felt kind of, I don't know, felt kind of clunky. But I think it's, I don't know. I enjoy the art of it, and the animation seems fun. Just feel like I said, I think it feels kind of, I don't know. The first when he's talking to Aunt May about like great responsibility and this and that, and I don't know. I thought it felt kind of clunky.
Okay,
but
yeah, I mean, I'm a big sucker for that kind of stuff.
Well, sure,
but I think it still gets the like quintessential things of Spider-Man right in my book, so that's enough to justify its existence.
That Doctor Strange shit was pretty cool though.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't. I mean, this is one I didn't think the trailer did. Like, it didn't do a whole lot for me. I wasn't really excited. And
I wasn't like super pumped. I just kind of put it on.
I put it on just because I needed something to watch, like when Anna was out or doing something. So I thought the first episode was interesting, and I feel like it's like this weird sort of MCU, but not MCU.
It's like
world.
a different
like it's
universe,
very clearly
thing,
different universe, but very similar in a lot of ways. And I think it's been really. I've had a lot of fun with it. I've been very pleasantly surprised with how much I've been enjoying it. So
same. I've liked it quite a bit. Guessing y'all probably doing some Daredevil Born Again, maybe.
I started episode 1 the other night.
Okay.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
I'm working on my series rewatch, but
okay. We'll hear about that. I'm on through episode 2, the latest 2.
Yeah,
so far so good.
I think 3 dropped maybe today, the day we're recording.
Oh shit! They're still not.
I think
Tuesday?
I don't think any. I think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think anyone's had a chance to watch it here because we've been doing this.
I've only seen one episode, and I was impressed. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I honestly thought 2 was better than 1. If that's
wow, okay.
But I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it.
I think we will probably be talking about it once it wraps up. I think next month.
Fair enough.
It's good to have Daredevil back.
I like Daredevil being born again.
Good. Yes.
I watched another man be born again a few times.
Oh my!
His name was Mickey. He was born.
Oh shit! Is that
a lot of times? Yeah, man.
My brain went to Mickey Mouse. I was like,
what the fuck
is there a new cartoon?
All right, we went to see Mickey 17, the new Bong Joon-ho movie.
He's been born or reborn at least 17 times.
Yeah, at least. But I enjoyed it. I have some thoughts. I'll wait till you to see it. It's I like all Bong Joon-ho stuff.
Yeah,
I don't think it's perfect, but I really enjoyed it. I think there's enough there that makes it really interesting. And Robert Pattinson, man, this dude he's just a chameleon. He just does whatever. He can do anything. He's so versatile. He can play a weird pelican bird thing.
That's
true.
He can
play the Batman. Play a Twilight vampire.
Sparkly vampire.
He can run backwards. He can do it all.
Yeah.
You know?
He's quite talented. Yeah.
Yeah.
He could be Cedric Diggory.
He can be Cedric. My boy. That's my boy. That's my boy. That is my boy.
Even though he's just going to find his dad.
Yeah.
It's very funny scene, as we all know.
Yeah. And very lastly, we watched Spirited Away again. I think you both have seen that. Miyazaki.
Yeah.
You've seen that, Andrew. I know for sure you've seen that. Spirited Away.
Yes.
Definitely. The Studio Ghibli. Okay, good. Yeah, we're just trying to watch some more movies about Japan before we go. We're not very far in it, but Spirited Away was just an essential one. So, if for some reason someone has not seen Spirited Away, that's probably the highest recommendation. That is one of the greatest movies.
And your trip. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh yeah, no, just upcoming trip.
Yeah. Okay. But that's this month. So theoretically, come Daredevil Born Again wrapping up. You'll have been
hopefully
the globe and back.
There and back, yeah. There and back again, a hobbit tale.
A Japanese travel tale.
Japanese travel tale. And in my times I have been on the Kindles reading some books. Sometimes listening to things, but trying to read some things. I was talking to Andrew, I finished up the first Mistborn book. Like the first book of the first trilogy.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Final Empire.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. No, that was good. I really enjoyed it. I'm on the second book, and I really like the magic system. Yeah,
the magic system is so good. It's for Rekami, I think is what it's called, right?
Yeah, and then just like you eat these metals and you get these different powers, and if you're Mistborn, you can access all the different metals, and there's a secret extra metal that we don't know about and what it does. And then I was surprised too how the first book ended without getting into spoilers. Like I thought it was going to go a different way, and I was like, oh wow, that's kind of where they went.
I've at this point I'm pretty invested in like Sanderson books, at least through the audibles and stuff. The end of that third book is probably the most incredible thing.
Oh, okay. The third book.
The third book, yeah. To end that trilogy.
The first trilogy.
All right. Probably, I mean, as much as I like Stormlight Archive and all those books, and those books have some pretty. Sanderson has a way of like wrapping up the ending of his books. But the way he wraps,
that's good to hear.
This trilogy that you're in is like the best things that I've ever I don't know, experienced in film or movies or film or books or all of it. Like narratively, it's fucking incredible. the way that he wraps up this that first trilogy. Now we talk about the second trilogy.
Praise.
I think it's kind of shit.
Okay.
But like these first 3 books are absolutely incredible things. So I couldn't be more excited for you to experience. Don't look up anything, just experience
I
it.
haven't.
I think you're really, really, really going to enjoy the end of that 3rd book. Super, super, super good stuff.
No, it's nice to hear that there's a good conclusion, because you hear something ends poorly and you're like, do I get through it? But like, there's something at the end. You're like, okay, I need to keep going. And
I mean, like, I don't even want to like discuss things with you because I don't want to lead you to think anything.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. I'll get through it and I'll let you know.
But when you get to the point where you have questions or if you want to talk about stuff, I will definitely wholeheartedly talk to you about anything Sanderson verse. I am deeply invested.
Yeah, after that, I might get back into the Stormlight.
Stormlight's on a roll, dude. Stormlight is by far the most consistent. Like, it's consistently really enjoyable. But the highs of Mistborn, I feel like the highs of Mistborn are they're up there with the highs of Stormlight, but it just feels so much more encapsulated in Mistborn. It feels incredible in Mistborn, the way that he does it. So, I don't want to get off on a tangent because I can tangent.
Yeah,
but,
that's exciting. That's exciting to hear.
Yeah, you're on a good roll, dude. Keep it up.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. That's it's coming up. I'll let you know when I get through. And I started listening to a book. I don't want to commit to the series necessarily, but I'm curious if you all listened to this, or if your significant others are reading the Rebecca Yarros like Fourth Wing books about the dragons and the things.
Oh, is this the smut, the dragon?
But
smut?
you've heard about these books, yeah? The dragon smut.
No, I've heard about the dragon smut, but I haven't listened
dragon
to
smut.
it.
No, no one else is. Anna's not into the dragon smut.
Well, I'm gonna Google dragon smut and I'll operate at my own peril and see if I get there. But
yeah, I don't know if you want to do that, but
oh, hello.
I can give you the TLDR if you want.
Did you Google dragon smut?
Vulture article, second result, Vulture article: The Rise of Rebecca Yarros, Mother of Dragon Smut.
Dragon smut.
So I got there.
To be fair, which I was very concerned about this. There is not much of the dragons doing it, because I said if you're getting into like people on dragons and that kind of stuff, like I'm out. Like that's not it for me.
That's not it for me.
Like I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. But this one's mostly like human on human smut, and then there are dragons.
Okay.
You know? But
I have heard of this, but I haven't.
Yeah. It's like a big thing. It's like a huge thing. It's like one of the best selling novels. So
I'm totally
a lot of my friends
I know nothing about this. So
okay, so let me give you my outsider's perspective on it. I'm just about finished with the first book. It's how do you even explain this? But
fucking smut.
it's romantasy. So it's like very well into that genre, the romantasy.
Yes. Okay.
I think this is not fantasy first. This is romance first in a fantasy setting. I think you have to understand that. And it's got the smut in there. There's certainly like some sex scenes and things. It's not anything like, I don't know, like super X-rated or like that, but like it's there. And I think the romance is like the attractive thing that people gravitate to, and that's written generally well. I think the characters are okay, but it's about these like young military academy students who have to fight in this war, and in the different wings are these dragon riders, and they have to bind or like to dragons and then fight in these wars and stuff. And it's like there's definitely some interesting things there. It's probably not like made for me necessarily.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, like there's things here. But I think I don't know. I'm curious for someone to read it or listen to it.
Good things about it.
There's a lot of things I want to read. This is not going anywhere close to the top of the list. So
I'll give it.
Don't look at me.
I think it's not absolute literature. If we're gonna put it on a scale,
okay,
it's not that absolute literature.
Is it pure?
It's on the entertaining side.
Okay. It's not even pure.
No, it's not pure. It's not pure.
Is it kind of sweaty a little bit?
It's a little bit. It's not the sweatiest thing.
It's not the sweatiest.
Read, but no, but it's like there's some drama. There's some action. There is there's this guy who stands in the corner and he's always like so tough and he's just like crossing his arms, but it's like and he's so mean, but maybe he kind of likes me and I kind of have this thing for him and
he's got, I don't know,
it's interesting. It's not no.
We'll read this now.
It's not written for me, and that's completely okay. I think if you enjoy this, that's 100% fine. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and trash it. It's very all right for me. I might read to listen to the other ones, but I think I might stick to the Sanderson because that's more of my thing. But if anyone else reads or listens to it, I gotta get your takes and share some thoughts. But it's all right. It's all right.
I don't even know who I heard about it from, but I knew about it.
It's like, I don't know. It's just,
I think it's a fairly popular thing. This
it's very popular. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I need to
I don't know.
Take a listen. But Baby B rides with me in the car when I listen. No.
I mean, he won't know what's going on, but
say when it gets a little racy, you can just pause it. And put something else on.
But that's when it gets sweaty. I have to.
Yeah. I don't know. I might need to find some quote. I might need to find some quotes. I'll just send you the quotes or something.
All right,
there we go.
I look forward to that. That sounds good.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right, very good. Appreciate your recommendations. The animes sound more interesting to me. If I make
animes, I think you would enjoy. Dandadan, if anything.
Yeah.
If anything,
that one is definitely better than the monochromatic, like Lovecraftian thing that we tried to watch.
that was just okay.
There was like on HBO Max. There's like this like black and white.
I forget the name.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. And I've always wanted to watch, and Henrique and Jaime came over, and I was like, "Hey guys, let's try this."
Fire it up.
And it was kind of.
You tried it.
It was just kind of like shit. I wasn't. I don't know.
You tried it.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, you been up to anything over there besides watching Flow? You just watching
we watched
Flow over and over again?
I feel like I watched another movie that was on the radar.
Okay.
After we recorded,
animated live action.
Oh,
The Brutalist.
No, definitely no Brutalist.
6 times.
You don't have time
definitely
for that.
no Brutalist. I feel like it was
gotten
animated
home from Captain
though.
America sooner.
What animated movie was there?
Did you watch Wallace and Gromit?
No, definitely not.
Oh,
You already talked about Inside Out 2, so I don't know if that's what you're thinking of.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
That.
I think that is what I'm thinking of.
Okay, you did.
Yeah.
You did talk about that.
So then I watched Flow, and Flow was
you hadn't seen Flow as of part 2.
Flow was very much my shit. I mean, I think it's less approachable than
probably most animated movies.
Most animated movies.
Ones.
Yeah, but specifically the one that I picked.
Wild Robot.
Wild Robot. But it is very much my shit. I think it's an incredibly well-made animated movie. I think that it speaks volumes for never speaking anything at all. And I think that, I don't know, I think when you can do that, I think that you're really, really making something valuable. And I don't know. Just I think you guys should watch it. When you do watch it,
I want to watch it.
I think when you do watch it, I would very much be interested to hear your take on it. But other than that, no, we haven't watched a whole lot. I am like in chapter 125 of the latest Sanderson book that came out. I think it's Wind and Truth. I think.
Yes, that sounds right.
It's exceedingly long. It's very long. I feel like I've been
hopefully
listening
good.
to it. Yeah, it's when a book is that long, there's a lot to parse through.
Sure. Yeah,
and I'm listening to it. So it's just like well, fuck. I've been in this every time I'm in the car for the past 4 months. It's been this fucking thing. So
yeah.
it is what it is. I enjoy it. I think it's cool, but. So far, I have had to park my car, collect myself for a couple minutes before going into work, and that was a good experience. It's like, okay, I'm listening to something pretty meaningful. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But aside from that, we have had The Bachelor. We're almost at the end of The Bachelor, which is pretty shit.
Good.
I'm not the biggest fan of The Bachelor. But I will say, Love is Blind. Love is Blind is at least fairly interesting. There's some pretty unique characters in Love is Blind. It's
entertaining, right?
It is entertaining, yeah.
It's fucking messy, but it's entertaining.
It is pretty messy. It makes me feel less of a human being watching it, if I'm not going to lie. But, it's...
Is love truly blind? I don't know.
People are fucked. That's what I will say. And I don't know how I feel watching them be fucked, but, it is what it is, I guess. So I don't have a lot of that kind of drama in my life. So if I can watch other people fucking... piss and moan and be miserable and experience drama, I guess that's something special. We've been to Disney World a couple of times since probably the last time we recorded. Disney World is good fun. I went to the Mos Eisley. I went to Mos Eisley.
That's how you got there?
That's how I got there. And that was really cool, man. They had this bar. It was pretty expensive to go there, not going to lie, but it was a pretty cool experience. Given the chance,
like aliens sitting around in there too?
There's no aliens, but like you can they have aliens that produce drinks, like you can drink their eggs and stuff, and they put like liquid. They put what is it? It's like I don't think it's like liquid nitrogen. I don't know what it is, but it makes the fucking drinks bubble and shit like crazy.
Okay.
And that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience, And I did get this. I got a Lothcat thing.
Oh.
It's a pretty shitty glass, but it's a pretty cool fucking statue.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's technically glass.
Yeah, it's technically glass, but it's kind of a real shit glass,
Yeah.
But it's first edition, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Boom.
Very cool.
Big sucker for collector stuff.
There you go.
That's why you got a man cave so you can collect all that.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think I've been up to much else. So that's pretty much it.
Right on.
Yeah. What about you guys? Or what about Colton?
I think it just leaves me at this point. So I'm gonna do the non-movie TV stuff first. Circling back to the Super Bowl, it was a glorious beatdown.
Yes.
And Anna's an Eagles fan. They're like my second team. I'm technically a Jaguars fan.
Yeah.
Duval. But one of those teams was in the Super Bowl and one of them was not. So and it's nice living in Philadelphia to support the hometown team. So and fuck the Chiefs, quite honestly. So that was just absolutely thrilling to watch. Like the most non-competitive Super Bowl in recent memory. And so we went to the Eagles parade, which was really cool. We just did it as they were going down Broad Street. Just went. I think Henrique did as well. I think you got a pretty good picture of Nick Sirianni. I think he actually probably had a better vantage point than we ended up having. But it was just really fun. Just the energy in the city was.
Totally nuts.
I've also lived here through a Super Bowl loss, and not fun. not fun. The energy is very everyone's just sad, and it's not fun. So even though I'm not a number one Eagles fan, I like it better when Eagles fans are happy because everyone's just vibing and having a good time.
There you go.
And we also went to Broad Street after the Super Bowl too, and that was pretty nuts. It got pretty hectic. People were climbing up on garbage trucks, and nothing too crazy, for this particular round. I think it was actually a pretty good celebration, from the city. We get a bad reputation of, trying to burn the city down when we win Super Bowls or whatever. But I think it was actually a pretty good celebration. Very, good spirited, and people are happy. They're celebrating, and I think we lost a couple street polls, but
You're okay.
They can buy more. City can buy more. Beyond that, I also took a trip down to Florida, and it was just a long weekend. I saw Andrew. Went to Cigar City Brewery.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Had some brewskis at Cigar City and some good food, and it was fun. And I felt like going down to Florida was like a weird escape to just nothing matters in the world. La 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 la. So I kind of buried my head in the sand for a few days down there, and so I saw my parents, and it was fun. I drank a lot, hung out, played a board game or two, and
we're still people down here. We're all right.
Yeah, just living,
living life,
trucking along, I guess. But it was good. Good fun trip down there.
We watched the Heretic.
We did. We watched most of Heretic. We didn't finish it. I think your rental period has long expired.
I finished it the next day though.
Oh, you did. Okay. Well, how was the rest of it? I haven't gone back and finished it. It got
kind of stupid. It got it.
Okay.
I
think it's coming. I think it's coming to Max or maybe on Max by now. So I'm like, I'll go back and pick up.
I think it's streaming now.
So
it's fun though. It's a fun movie.
Yes, it was a fun.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed what I watched, which was the first half, and horror movies, the second half or the third act is that's usually where the challenge happens. So, where it gets interesting or real stupid. So I will go back and finish Heretic, but on the plane, I watched a documentary. Well, I should say on the planes. I watched half of it on the way down, and I finished it on the way back up. I watched Superman. I think it's the Christopher Reeve story is the I think it's the subtitle. Let me just double check that. I put it in here. Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story. So it's a documentary that came out last year about Christopher Reeve, and DC Studios acquired it and put it out. I don't know if it's streaming yet. I assume it'll be on Max at some point if it's not already. I think it looks like it. It looks like it is streaming on Max now. But it was really, really moving. Honestly, I watched half of it. I think I split it into two halves because I was getting weepy, and I'm like, I don't want to be crying on this airplane right now. It's a really touching, story about Christopher Reeve through his horse riding accident and his philanthropic work after that, and then really also obviously focusing on his role as Superman, his career, his life and career prior to that, past Superman. Just a really, good documentary about a man, about his family, someone who's not perfect, but who tried to do a lot of good in his life, and about the relationships that he crafted. I thought it was really well done. Like I said, it drew tears for me at multiple points, and I was, sitting next to people on an airplane. So, I didn't want to come off as a fucking psycho crying about Superman on my phone, on the airplane, but, it was very touching, very well done. I skipped the one thing. I read a book. I also read a book. I read a nonfiction book called Blood, Sweat, and Chrome, which is written by Kyle Buchanan, who's a journalist. This is a book about the making of Mad Max Fury Road, which I started after I watched Furiosa. So I've been I was slowly churning through it. I've now been finished with it for a couple months now, but I kind of slowly churned through it, and it's really, really interesting because it's basically this guy. It's like an oral history of the making of it, and it goes as far back as George Miller's early attempts to make it in the 90s into early 2000s with Mel Gibson, and then obviously into the way that it was actually made with Tom Hardy, with Charlize Theron. And a lot of it is just through oral interviews that this guy, did with cast and crew. And it's just a really, really fascinating, interesting insight into not only the production process, the actors' methods. Like, it's a notorious production thing of like everyone on set was like, what the fuck is this fucking movie? And no one knew what it was. Then the studio execs caught wind of what they were spending money on. They're like, what the fuck is this shit? It's just a whole incredible story of just how the most unlikely, of productions that seems like everything should be a complete shit show turned into like one of the best action movies of all time. It's just a fascinating wild ride and a great story and an interesting way of kind of looking at it. So I'd recommend it. I just got it from the library, so it was pretty good though. Okay. So now that's that. Moving back over to the movie side of things, I will say this briefly. I watched Nora, won a lot of awards at the Academy Awards recently. I really, really liked it. I would like to talk about it more. We might do an Academy Awards episode. We've done that in years past with Anna being on with us. I wouldn't mind doing that. And I think if we do that, that's probably the time to talk about Nora more because she has thoughts too. So we both really, really liked it. We watched it before the Oscars and then it cleaned house pretty much, and it was pretty satisfying to see. We're doing a Daredevil rewatch before we jump into Born Again. We finished season 1. Okay. We binged through season. We started and kind of watched a few episodes, and then we ended up watching like 6 or 7 over the weekend, this past weekend. Sure. So we finished season 1. So we got the goofy, red suit at the end, which kind of is, it's a little Power Rangers-y sort of thing. But that whole first season is fucking incredible. Just tight. It's a tight show.
I'll be curious to see your thoughts on the new season, Born Again.
Going straight from it. Yeah. So she's not watched season 3. She never watched season 3, which I think is really good. And
I think season 3 is great.
And so I've only seen it the once when it came out. So I'm really excited to go back and revisit season 3. And I liked all of the seasons. I like season 2, even though it's a little bit more uneven. But I'm excited to go through all that. We are going to do Defenders as well, because I kind of view it as 2.5. We will skip the other ones for now. We'll go back and watch Iron Fist later.
Yes.
Danny.
Yeah, watch Iron Fist.
Hit on Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, enjoying that. I'm enjoying in Pop Culture Jeopardy with Colin Jost as the host. Colin Jost is the host. There's something I can do with that, but I'm not getting there. It's good fun. It's Jeopardy for people like me who don't know a bunch of random shit. So it's good fun. Well, I know random shit about pop culture, but not random shit about maybe more important things or whatever. So good fun. And then my last entry, my Rot Watch entry is Love Is Blind, the most recent season. We've been going in on that because we skipped the last one that came out, which
that last one was wild.
Season 7. We watched season 6. That was the first season we watched. We hadn't seen any of the prior seasons, and we just picked it up on a whim and then binged it. And this one's kind of the same thing. Like we needed something like light and breezy. I think I threw it out as a joking suggestion, and we just started it. We're like 10 episodes in, so we're not finished with the newest season, which I think is now done. I think the reunion episode just aired right before recording, like a couple days ago. So yeah, this one's like, I think Minneapolis is where like the participants are from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hot fucking mess. I mean, you're just looking at this like, what a fucking train wreck. Like, what the fuck are these people doing? There's like 2 people that have like, oh, there's like maybe a genuine connection there. Everyone else, pure fucking disaster. Like, good God, don't get married to each other.
There's some toxic people in that shit for sure.
And I think it is also at the point too where, because it's a very known quantity, like people go on it just to be like a fucking personality. You know what I mean? Like they're going on it just because they know it'll give them exposure and like celebrity status, and I'll get to be an influencer or whatever. And I think that sort of takes away from it. Like there are people who maybe genuinely buy into the concept, even though it's a fucking absurd concept. But I mean, it's still pretty entertaining, even if people are doing it just to, get their name out into the public. It's it is absolute dreck, but in like the most fun way possible. So I'm not a reality TV guy. Like when I do jump in, like Claim to Fame is another one where I'm like, I love this shit. You know, that one's like way more low stakes. Like it's just fucking celebrity relatives being like, I have a famous relative. You know, it's like, okay, me too. You know, and like you know, competing over it. This is like, I love you, but I've never seen you. And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. You know, so it's pretty full on. But really enjoy it. Very fun. Very fun. Couldn't do it all the time. This is like a fun thing to dip in and out of, like every now and then. Like I don't even know if I want to do every season. Like it's fine that I had like a year off in between seasons, and I was like, that was a good span of time. I can't do this all the time. It's too much. But anyway, that's it. That's all I got. So I think we can wrap it up, right? You ready to wrap it up?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, you can spread the word. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. You can get early access to all of our regular episodes. Obviously, we are now full on in 2025, so it's going to be regular episodes from here on out. Maybe a bonus episode splashed in. We've had ideas for bonus episodes that we've kicked around here and there. And I think we'd love to do some bonus episodes on 2020, you know, in the year of 2025. But I don't think we have anything lined up just yet. Yeah. But once we maybe figure out a more regular routine for our regular episodes, then we'll slot that in. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can email us, be a part of the future edition of the Listener's Corner. watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. If you got something to say, send it our way. Skipped a line. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. We're on a few of the socials. We are on Blue Sky, and I'm going to do this again, as I do every time, because I can never remember what the thing is. I think I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it one of these days. watchreviewrepeat.bsky.social.
That makes sense.
It really shouldn't be this hard, but you know, we record we record so infrequently that I don't know how to do it. So, well, you could just type in if you just search, you can just search for Watch Review Repeat on Blue Sky, and you will probably find us unless someone has stolen our identity, but they probably haven't. We're also on Instagram at Watch Review Repeat, Facebook.com/Watch Review Repeat. Intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, Compotech.com, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Before we sign off, I want to extend a big thank you to Henrique Jaime for joining us, talking this mediocre movie, but it was a movie.
We did it.
We talked about it.
It was fun talking about it,
movie.
you know?
Yeah.
We enjoyed it.
It's fun talking about a movie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And I hope you have a wonderful time on your trip to Japan.
Oh, thanks. It's coming up.
That sounds very, very exciting. Yes, it's not imminent, but coming up soon. So, but I think next time we hear from you,
Bon voyage. Is that right?
Probably.
I think we'll be hearing more about that trip.
I mean, that's French.
It's not quite the right language, but I also don't have an alternative Japanese suggestion to give you. So,
Enrique, do you have an alternative?
There's just too many things. I'm gonna fuck it up.
I got nothing. So I got.
There's like a
you got
go and come back kind of thing, or like I will come back. It's like a whole thing.
Okay, all right.
Well,
it's not that simple. It's not.
In any circumstance, thank you
just say
for hanging out with us for a few hours. We'll say goodbye in you know in an American way.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you know the goodbye. This like so you're not like
Serenata.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, like doesn't Schwarzenegger say it in some movies? Like
Hasta la vista.
No,
I don't know if that's it. I think that might be a different language.
I feel like it's like a thing. It's like a domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's say we'll figure it out.
I feel like Arnold said it in the 80s at some point.
He probably did. I'm sure he shot someone probably after that or kicked him through a door or something.
He also said hasta la vista, but I feel like he also said.
Yeah, he's probably said other things. Anyway, next up, I think maybe the Academy Awards episode / Let's Talk About Anora episode. Mickey 17 is another option that just came out in theaters. We'd have to go see it in theaters. Things that we'll have to look forward to in the future.
Never knew Sayonara was Japanese.
Sayonara. Yeah,
Sayonara.
I don't know. I don't know. So probably that. That's probably what you have to look forward to. So until then, I guess sayonara.
Sayonara.
There you go. Sayonara.